I wanted to have a conversation about Classic Plus and potential features for a few reasons. The first is I think it's good to think these things out loud and talk about them to spark a conversation, to maybe get closer to having an idea of what we want as a community. Now, by no means am I claiming that my community is representative of the entire Classic community. I don't want to come across that way. I know it's a slice of the people that actually play, but I still think the conversation's worth having. I want to go feature by feature. I want you guys to vote on them. We'll give it an approval rating, and I want there to be a resource for Blizzard to be like, okay, look, maybe a ton of people want this or a ton of people don't. Once again, I'm not trying to make the claim that my community's the entire Classic community, but I still think it's worth doing. So we'll spend some time talking about features. And one of the key things here is I don't want to give my input until after you guys vote, because I don't want to influence what you guys have to say. Okay, so I will literally just kind of, I'm not going to yap too much. It'll be like, that's a cool feature. Let's see what you guys think. You guys vote. I'll put the approval rating. Then I'll give my opinion afterwards. And then we'll continue to the next one. I mean, dual talents. You know what? Fine. You want to start simple? We can start simple. Dual talents. This is already in anniversary, so it's a little silly, but we'll start simple. We'll get warmed up. Dual talent. All right. For these polls, guys, we're going to do a lot of them. So I'm going to make them pretty rapid fire. It's 1 minute. You have 60 seconds. Why no discussion before the poll? I did a little introduction. And in the introduction, if you missed it, I don't want to bias any of the chat by saying what I think Classic Plus should be. I mean, I do yap about that all the time. So if you've heard me yap about it, then maybe I've already influenced people. But the idea here is I want to hear what you guys have to think as a community, not necessarily what I think. Okay, so we have 94% approval rating. Dual talent spec, we're locked in. Soldium, thank you very much for the prime. I appreciate that. That was an obvious one. We'll pull this one. Once again, I'm not going to give my opinion. I will give my opinion after. But profs, just to be clear, is professions. I will give my opinion after. World buffs, yes or no? That's a good one. We'll definitely do that. Maybe we'll do that one after this. We'll get some ideas here. I'll write them down. World buff changes. Okay, so more than 2 professions is a 19% approval rating. I agree with you guys. 2 professions makes a lot of sense in WoW. I think more than 2 profs doesn't. I don't see any reason unless you're playing solo self-found, and then even then, it's like super controversial. So the next question would be world buff changes. Now we can get very specific with world buff changes if we want. Season of Discovery did world buff changes where you had to turn in cloth to then get world buffs. I believe Turtle WoW has world buffs not work in a raid. I think the generic question is, should world buffs somehow be no longer mandatory in raids? That's the question we're all trying to answer, right? Should they no longer? So Turtle WoW has it. So if you have like world buffs don't work in raids, only out in the open world, and Sod had it where you had to do cloth turn-ins. Both were solutions to the problem. You know, I'll keep it very vague. World buff changes, aka not required for raids, or easier to get for raids. Some type of world buff change. I hope that makes sense. We can do another poll on something more specific, but like, should they leave world buffs or have some type of changes to them? Cool. I wouldn't mind a second question after this one as well, with a more specific solution, not just changes, right? Because it is a vague one, I agree. Should disable world buffs for raids? No world buffs in raids. So 95-ish% of voters want some type of world buff changes. It's actually more than I thought. I'm all for world buff changes. I rated in SOD every week, and I love that I didn't have to get them. I've never played Turtle WoW, but from people that play, like, they seem to like that you don't have to actually go and get them. I see the pros of world buffs, like you go out in the world and it promotes doing dungeons and it promotes playing the game at max level. But I think all in all, it's just like, it really prevents a lot of people from just playing the game, I think. More specifically though, I kind of want a second world buff question here. How should we phrase this? Because there's a lot of ways you can do it, right? Like SOD did it, Turtle WoW did it. I'm trying to think the best, like what would you guys think would be the best way to handle world buffs, to stay true to what Classic Plus or Classic is and feels, but maybe not have them mandatory to farm for raids. A lot of people are just saying like, remove them, just remove them. For the people saying remove them, here's the issue. I mean, it's not really an issue, but I just want to play devil's advocate here. You have to, like, the game is kind of balanced behind world buffs, right? So all the content then gets way harder. The way SOD did it is you still got them. It was just easy to get them. So that like some classes like a warrior that kind of need them, you can still get that power up and the content isn't just like way harder. So you'd have to then rebalance classes and content if you just remove them, which is maybe fine. I'm trying to think how to do this next poll. Like it would almost be like how many people want them removed versus how many people want them rebalanced to some degree. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. We'll do flying mounts next. Yeah, that's a good one. With world, okay, so let's just do this because the way we have it set up on the right isn't really set up to have like an or statement like this or that. It's really just set up to have, do you want this feature? Remove world buffs completely. Yes. I think we just have to ask individual questions. We can get more specific or more vague. They'd have to be more specific. Just to be clear, vote no if you want world buffs reworked. Vote no if you want them to stay in to some degree, but you want them reworked. I guess I should say completely from raids, just to be a little more specific, like kind of how Turtlebot does it, right? Okay, do 3. It doesn't, the approval rating system doesn't really work for 3. I have to do one question at a time, kinda, which let's do flying mounts down here, and then the remove world buffs from raids. And then the next question would be rework world buffs, like maybe cloth turn-ins from SOD, like something similar to cloth turn-ins from SOD. I actually am curious. Yo, Psychotics, thanks for the prime for 20 months. Appreciate it. Okay, so this one gets closer. This one, all of a sudden, gets close. It's not as, like, you know, if you have like a 94% approval rating, it's like, yeah, obviously. By RuneScape standards, 70% or more make it. This one's very close, or very close to RuneScape standards, I should say. So 70. So it would still like technically pass. I am very curious on this next one. Rework world buffs, right? So some type of turn-ins like SOD or can someone give me like a secondary option here? Like there would probably be multiple ways to rework it. The cloth turn-ins did make a lot of sense because it stays true to cloth turn-ins for reputation. It gave people a reason to go out and farm the cloth, which then it stimulated the economy because then you could sell your cloth and buy the cloth. Like the cloth turn-ins did actually make dungeon boss kills. So quests or dungeon boss kills. It just kind of simplify the process, rework it to some degree so that you're not sitting in a city AFK for hours waiting for someone to drop the head and it never drops, kind of a thing. Say, do you favor rework over removal? I love that. I think that's a good question. I like the way you worded that. The rework, just to be clear, rework to some degree be cloth or dungeons, maybe some type of quest, but like simplify the process, rework it so that you're not sitting in a city AFK for hours. How about transmog? We can talk about it. Yeah. So this and these are like all the same. It's like subcategories of the same question. They're just trying to get more specific each time. 70% of the 94 presumably want them removed from raids. So you just don't need them for raids at all. You can still get them for out in the world, level with them, mess around, turn it in, get the excitement, get people together, do the drop. It's exciting, but it just doesn't work in the raid. So to raid, you show up with consumables and that's it. 54% would want the rework, so some type of cloth turn in or something like that. That's interesting. For me, I think I would be okay either way as long as they got changed. I think that's now that you voted, I think that's my take. If they got removed from raids, I would be like, let's go, I don't have to do it. And if they got reworked to where it was easy enough to just get, I'm also like, cool. I just don't want to have to AFK in a city for hours, especially on like hardcore, assuming they do a hardcore option or something, to try to get a world. It's annoying. Flying mounts. Yes, we'll do flying mounts, transmog. Someone said rated battlegrounds. I'll ask that one next. If you have any more new classes and new specs, arenas, we can do that. When I say arenas, I almost want to ask this separately. We could do like 1v1 arenas, 2v2 arenas, 3v3 arenas, because these are, in my mind, they're very different questions. Flight paths more. So let's do like optimized plus additional flight paths. I think that's a good question. The idea behind this is you can't fly, but some of the flight paths that make you go around the world are more optimized, and maybe you would even add in a couple extra points where maybe know where to fly to. Do them separately. Optimized flight paths and then additional flight paths. Sure, that's fine. We'll do them separate. Summoning stones, great question. Transmog is 76% no, 24% yes. I'm with you guys. I do not want transmog in Classic Plus. It ruins the excitement of going up and seeing someone with their cool shoulders or tabard, or I guess tabard maybe not as much, but like cool sword, weapon, gear. You want to see what someone, they're wearable achievements. We've talked about this a million times. Once you have transmog in the game, you lose the wearable achievement to some degree. Doesn't feel as good. No transmog for Classic Plus. Yeah. Rated Battlegrounds. I guess this doesn't require much introduction. You'd be able to queue normal Battlegrounds still. They wouldn't go anywhere. But in addition, you would have a rated Battleground option to see how high rating you could get. Longer buffs as a pally. I feel like I could maybe combine this one plus lower mana cost. I don't like combining questions because some people might want one and not the other, but I feel like these do go in tandem. Mounts at level 20. I'll put it on there. People want them separate. Fair enough. Fair enough. I don't mind doing them separate. All right, rated Battlegrounds, 77% say yes. So that's approved, but it's not fully approved, right? I actually like the idea of rated Battlegrounds. You know, maybe I will hold off on giving my full answer until these next ones because I don't want to bias anyone's opinion. Yeah, okay, yeah, I'll actually hold off because I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to influence anyone. So 1v1 arena, yes, no. Guild Bank is another great one. Just for clarity, I put color rating on the approval system. I did 70 to 100% is green. I did 40 to 69 is yellow, and 1 through 39 is red. I arbitrarily picked those. That doesn't mean anything. I just wanted it to be a quick glance color system. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a great question. Okay, so 1v1 arenas, 69%. With RuneScape, this wouldn't go through. It's definitely a little more on the fence on 1v1 arenas. I was going to give my opinion, but I should let all of the next of these polls go out before I give my opinion. Minor class and spec balancing, not to the SOD level. Do you guys think that's a specific enough question? Minor class and spec balancing? Should I do like specific, should paladins have Crusader Strike? I could be very specific, but I feel like that's like I feel like that's specific enough. Like minor class imbalance. Not specific enough. And a taunt, super minor. I mean, I could go very specific. Too vague. Okay, maybe we go a little more specific then. I mean, we could do both. Like we did here. I did a more vague question. World buff changes. Most people say yes. And then we could drill down and be more specific. So maybe I do that. Maybe we do both. So minor class changes and balancing. Keyword minor, okay? So 78% want 2v2 arenas. And then pull 3v3 is the next one. Better quest rewards. I think I could add like where it makes sense. Because not every quest needs better rewards. But I think, you know, like where it makes sense. There's certain quests where it's like, yeah. I mean, there's really obvious ones like new raids like Carrick Crypts, or you know, there's new raids. I mean, we obviously don't think, I mean, don't want to bias you guys, but all right, 3v3 arena 75. Okay, so I'll give you guys my take on, oh yeah, this is interesting, updates on old raids like new bosses. That's an interesting one. I'll give you guys my my take on this. I like rated Battlegrounds in Classic WoW. I think it would make sense and stay true to the system that has already been built. DRs work in rated Battlegrounds. It's somewhat balanced. It's somewhat fair. I think it's fun. I actually disagree with you guys on this. I think 1v1 arenas in Classic WoW more sense. Why? Because 1v1s are somewhat balanced. 2v2 and 3v3 would just be awful. With 20-second polymorphs, 20-second sabs, 20-second fears, 20-second... I think it would be awful. Unless you rebalanced everything, which you could do. But then that's another question. You'd have to put this in, you have to rebalance everything, which would then impact world PvP. It would impact Battlegrounds. It would impact raid. It would change the whole system. So then the question becomes, is it worth rebalancing everything to make it so these can work? I don't think it is. So this is the first thing I disagree with you guys on. I think 2v2 and 3v3 is a mistake. Rebalancing it messes up too much other fundamental things, and I wouldn't do it. Rated Battlegrounds wouldn't change anything. It would be fine. 1v1s, if you wanted to do it, I think could work because you don't have to change much. 2v2, 3v3, it would mess the system up too much. So I would say no. My opinion doesn't really matter. What matters is the aggregate opinion. So I would be the minority here, and it would be voted in anyway. That's how that would work. Oh, let's add this. Poll-based system added. So we vote on features. That's a good question. Who wants that? All right, next one. Let's just keep going down the list, rapid fire. I wish I could almost do 30-second polls. Optimized flight paths. So this is not additional flight paths, but just optimized. So instead of certain flight paths, you have to go like around the world, maybe optimize them so you could go a little bit straighter. Make the flight paths a little bit quicker. Not quicker in speed, like the flying would be the same speed, but you wouldn't have to go around as much. Eli, thanks for the tier 1. I think you could scale abilities to the local game mode. I think this is a massive mistake. I think one of the most confusing things that you can do in a video game is be like, this ability does this. Unless you're here, then it does this. Unless you're here, then it does this. It's too confusing. I actually hated when they did that in WoW, like modern WoW. And it's like you read the tooltip and you think it does one thing, but you didn't read the most recent patch notes, so you're not up to date on what it does in a different part of the game, and it's just, I think it's bad. Optimized flight paths, 87% of people want that flight path. So, you know, a little bit different. This one is, should there be any additional flight paths added to the game in areas that might not have them, but probably maybe need them? For more questions, we could do like new classes added to the game. That's very vague. We could then drill down and see what class. There's also new races added to the game, and then we could drill down and do the races. And there's also new race class combos, which would be like things like Night Elf Mage or Dwarf Mage or Human Hunter, stuff like that. So let's do those 3 for now. And these are very vague. We could drill down. So 61% want additional flight paths. 87% want optimized flight paths. Summoning stones. Summoning stones, just to be clear, are the stones outside the dungeon. Right now, they're meeting stones in classic WoW. You can't summon anyone with them. Summoning stones would be so you could click on them and summon your teammates when you get there. Can you give your opinion on flight paths? I agree with you guys. I want optimized. I wouldn't mind like maybe 1 or 2 additional flight paths. I would have to look at the map and look specifically. I agree with you guys that I wouldn't want too many additional. If they started popping up everywhere, I think that's troll. But I think there might be some areas to alleviate some unnecessary running, maybe 1 or 2, but not a ton. That's kind of my thoughts on that one. Summoning stones, 65% want summoning stones. 64% want summoning stones. I feel like I'm kind of... I would go either way. I don't hate summoning stones. I like the idea of warlocks having utility. Warlock summon... Wait, actually, what did I delete for this? Longer buffs here. Let's put longer buffs down here first. Under this one, warlock closets. So summon closets, right? So a warlock can like put it down. Anyone can then use it. This is how it worked in Season of Discovery. I think that is a natural follow-up here. Remove racial traits. Diminishing returns. So I should say like modernize. Diminishing returns. Is that how you spell modernize? Looks wrong. Remove hit rating and weapon skill. I'll do them separately. Remove weapon skill. Shaman tank. Horde paladin. Alliance shaman. Okay, so 76% of people want warlock summon closets and 64% want summoning stones. So that's kind of cool. So the summoning closets might be a better alternative, right? Around the dungeons, you could use someone else's closet, but someone still needs to get there, and it makes warlocks have some type of excitement and utility. Instant mail. Lower mana cost buffs. Man, this is so good. This is so good that we're doing this. I feel like this is just awesome. Thank you guys for taking the time to vote on these polls and give suggestions in the game. Barber. Wait, I thought I had longer buffs here. Lower mana cost buffs. Where's the longer buff option? Oh, longer buffs is down here. Well, yeah, we'll get to it. Okay, so lower mana cost buff 79. I agree. I think like I love the idea of buffs. I love the idea of bringing specific class utility to a raid, to a dungeon, to a battleground, but I don't like there's certain classes that it's not too bad. Like a druid buff isn't that mana intensive, but like for a mage or a priest, it takes your whole mana bar. It's like it's just really annoying. Since we're on the topic, I'm gonna move mounts at level 20 down here. Now I'm gonna move longer buffs up here. Next up, longer buffs. I'll add where it makes sense. I'm talking paladins have longer buffs, like 30-minute buffs, like where it makes sense. I think we know what we mean by this. Remove all add-ons and add more in-game guides. I'll put that down. Remove all add-ons. I think what you mean is like the combat add-ons, like kind of like what they're doing with Midnight. Okay, so 91% want longer buffs where it makes sense, which makes sense. Bum 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 bum. Cambridge Joe, thanks for the tier 1. New zones. I mean, that's another one that's like pretty vague and like obviously people want, you know, but sure. All right, this one is Guild Bank. Do you want guild banks in Classic Plus? With longer buffs, yeah, I'm on the same page. I think paladin buffs should at least be 30 minutes. Yeah, they did that in SOD. Mass buff abilities, only one cast to buff everyone in raid. Yeah, I guess that would be like a third good buff question. AoE buffs to everyone. Kind of like oh, I see what you're saying. Right now it's party only. AoE buffs to raid level instead of party level. I guess raid-wide buffs. Yeah, that's it. I'll put that down. Guild Bank, 89% want Guild Bank. I agree. Yeah, I think guilds have alt characters with the bank anyway. It makes just more sense to just add in a Guild Bank. I don't think it modernizes the game in any bad way. I think it's just fine. All right, this one is a good question. Achievements. I can see reasons for both sides, right? Well, achievements, achievement system in the game. You press Y or Shift Y or whatever your keybind is, brings up achievements. There's things to go and do. There's achievements to link to others to show what you've done, stuff like that. Mount at level 20, we already have down. We'll get to that. Good morning. How's it going? Transmog. We have that one. I think I remember writing it. Did we already? Yeah, it's up here. Transmog here. Achievements 69%. So this one by RuneScape standards would not go in. Achievements are a tough one for me. I think achievements add a lot to the game for a lot of people. You can log in and you can open it up and find something to do. Gives a reason to grind. The downside of achievements is the game then becomes toxic. Link your AOTC, link your raid kill, link this, link to prove that you've done this. Now, the counter argument is people already do that by pulling up Warcraft logs and looking at your logs. The counter argument to the counter argument is now it makes it more accessible and easier to be elitist. The counter argument to the counter argument to the counter argument is that's not a WoW problem, that's a 2025 problem. The counter argument to the counter argument to the counter argument to the counter argument is that even though it's a 2025 problem, we should make the game the best it can be and try to avoid it as much as possible. It's a tough question. It's a very complex, tough question. Yeah, I don't really know. That I could see that one going either way. For me, I think if they added it, I would be fine with it though. And if they didn't add it, I wouldn't be missing it. Like, oh, you know. Anyway, it's a very tough one. Dungeon Finder. This is different than looking for group, just to be clear. Dungeon Finder is Dungeon Finder. Looking for group is, you know, you can find a group and whatever. Dungeon Finder is, yeah, you queue up for a dungeon. Hello, chat. Hey, Johnny. What's the difference? So Dungeon Finder, you'll literally like just press, I want to do Dead Mines, and you queue up. And it will pair you with other people doing Dead Mines and will port you to the dungeon, and you run the dungeon, and then you leave the dungeon and it ports you out back to where you were. And looking for group, we can also do that. Is a way to just find other people that's not in the looking for group like /4 or whatever. You could like search for people. I think they have this in Cata Classic. A lot of people are saying Dungeon Finder without the teleport is fine. Okay, so 78% or do not like this, so 21%. I agree. I don't want Dungeon Finder. That is an interesting question. Dungeon Finder without the port. So like you would go to Dead Mines, you would click play, it would find you a group. Obviously the downside is maybe less social interaction of like putting the group together and stuff. The upside is way more accessibility, and then you'd still have to run there. So it would like basically make the group for you to some degree. You'd sit in a queue and it would make the group for you to some degree. There is more downsides too. Like I've related this to like Tinder before, like modern dating versus old school dating. Once you make things more accessible, then people are more likely to rage quit and leave because they can just queue up again and replace you. Versus there's something about when you find a group yourself that you're gonna stick it out and do it because you spent the time to build the group and you're more invested. I guess I kind of gave you my take first, which is not what I should do. Maybe I'll ask that one later. Okay, next one. Minor class changes and balancing. This is a vague question. We can drill down further later on specifics. What I mean by minor class changes and balancing is not what they did in SOD. When I'm talking about minor, it would be like adding Crusader Strike to Ret Pallies, Taunt to Prot Pallies, Mangle to Feral Druids, Arcane Blast to Arcane Mages. Like I'm talking like one button to classes that need it, not like retail explosions, AoE crazy mobility. I'm not talking like 6 new buttons for everyone. I'm saying like minor class changes where you like there's certain classes that are just like kind of need it, right? So maybe one new button to everyone if you need it, kind of a thing. And then we can drill down more specifically, because I think obviously this one is a pretty specific, can be a very specific one. Raids should be flex. I could put that like flex raiding. Did they do that in SOD? No, they didn't really. In SOD, what they did with raid sizes is they made it like they scaled it for 40, but you could go in with. No, they scaled it for 20, but you could go in with more if you wanted it to be easier, which was interesting. SOD has Bisflex, yeah. They like scaled it for 20, but you could go in with up to 40. Okay, so 95% of people want minor class changes to balancing. Okay, so we'll drill down on this one because that's a pretty vague question. Someone had a good question. Okay, heroic dungeons, that's a good question. Another one is AoE looting, that's a good one. Okay, so let's just keep going. Better quest rewards where it makes sense. I'm talking here like when you do Morbent Fell and it's like this really, you kill this elite, you know, monster and you're getting like a green weapon that like you just vendor. I'm talking for where it makes sense, either a really good green or even like a decent blue for a super long drawn out quest chain, right? Elite quests that have you do some crazy stuff like that. No log data accessibility. That would never happen, right? But remove logging capabilities. I don't think that would ever happen, but I'll put it. It would. I mean, if you removed logging, it would probably reduce the toxicity in the game, maybe. But like, so many people play just to log. You know, everyone that raids weekly is probably pulling up their logs because it gives them a reason to try to beat their one from last week or whatever. All right, better quest rewards. Okay, this one seems like silly to even do. Whatever, just keep it rolling. Proximity voice chat, add prox chat, more spirit healers, heroism, and bloodlust. Spies, thanks for the prime. level cap increase. I didn't even think of that. New raids, 95%. Obviously, yeah. Okay, so here is a maybe more interesting question. Updates on old raids. So we're talking, should Molten Core in Classic Plus be the same and you add new raids for new content? Or should they update Molten Core or update Naxxramas, add an extra boss at the end, add in maybe some extra mechs that you haven't seen? Should you update the old raids at all? Add dual spec? Yeah, that was the first question. 94% want dual spec. Mouse, thanks for the prime. It looks like 73% of people want updates on old raids. I agree. I like that. The caveat here is you can go too far. I love the idea of an extra boss or an extra mech, but it has to be good. You know, don't ruin the whole experience. So yeah, I want it, but it's a little nuanced. It has to be solid. All right, here is a good one. I want you guys to vote on whether or not you should be able to vote on new systems added. Should there be a poll booth in the game that you can run up and go to and vote on ideas just like this? Or do you want that system to not be there and you have Blizzard decide what comes in and what comes out, right? Poll-based system to vote like RuneScape, yes or no? Red Stream, thanks for the prime. Just to be clear, the poll-based system would require an active sub. It would require you to be max level and a certain amount of like played time, like 3 months of like, you wouldn't be able to just like bot it. You wouldn't be able to just like make a bunch of level 1, like assuming the poll system worked, right? The way it works in RuneScape is I think you have to have a certain amount of played time. Like you have to be like an OG to some degree. Yeah, it would be a poll system that worked, presumably. 1 vote per account, right? Yeah. Remove gnomes? What? Mythic Plus, sure, I'll put it. So 82% of people want a pull-based system. I agree. I don't know, man. Maybe it's a pipe dream. Maybe it's not happening. I would like the community to be in charge of what happens to some degree. I would like if Blizzard would say, hey guys, do you want us to make raid-wide buffs? Community votes? Sure. Okay, we'll do it. I would like that. I really would. All right, new classes. This is a vague question. If people want it, we can drill down. This would be like adding in a demon hunter, a death knight, a monk, or a completely novel class like a bard, or something that we haven't seen before like that. Should there be a new class, or should you stick to the original classes and maybe add specs and changes and race class combos, that kind of stuff? Necromancer, bar, yeah. More battlegrounds unique to Classic Plus and more PvP focus in general. I could add like additional beachies. The downside of additional battlegrounds is it could make the queues longer for the existing ones. 69% want no new classes. I agree with you guys. I don't want new classes. I think there's some potential for, yeah, Necromancer. Like there could be some cool stuff, but normally when you added a new class to WoW, it just ruins the feel and the vibe. I think keeping the original, what is it, 8? And then like building from there. It's 9. Yeah, okay, 9, yeah. I'm gonna skip down here and do this one because I think it's just a good one. Horde, Paladins, Alliance Shamans. We could be more specific. It would probably be a Dwarf Shaman. And for the Horde Pally, it is complex. It could either be Undead, which I think Turtle WoW did, or it could be Tauren. That's a different question altogether. But it's just in general, Horde Pally, Alliance Shaman, should they do that? Or should they keep them, you know, Horde only Shamans, Alliance only Pallies? Mob and quest scaling. I'll put it. Chat is trolling. I mean, technically you're part of chat. All right. So it looks like 69% of people want Horde, Pally, Lion, Shaman. I'm with the 69. I would like Dwarf Shamans. I think it is kind of cool being able to be like, oh, I'm a shaman and only horde. Like, I get it, but I think I would rather have alliance shamans, horde pallies. I think that'd be cool. New poll, should there be new races? I'll just put the most common ones here, but it's a very generic one. We can drill down, but I'm thinking like in my head, blood elf, high elf, goblin, the ones we've seen a lot of the popular private servers do. I'm not saying anything crazy. Just to be clear, I'm not saying panda, drag. I'm saying things that make sense. Here, you know, instead of specific examples, just like the ones that like make sense in classic lore, right? Like, just, I guess you could make the argument that a lot of these make sense in the classic lore. You know what I mean? New races, yes, no. Nothing too out of the box. Add a peekaboo statue in Stormwind. I mean, if there's one way to get players to quit the game, bro, can you imagine peekaboo just like in the middle of Stormwind? Dude. He's just like, oh my gosh. All right, looks like 64% ish want new races. I agree here. It's not as high as I thought it would be, but I generally agree. Like, I would want high elves and goblins and stuff like that. I think I would not want pandas or Drakthir. That's where I would draw the line. I think if they added blood elves, like blood elf pallies, make a lot of sense. Like, I like the concept. I just wouldn't go too far with it. All right, so new race class combos. So this, once again, is a little more generic of a question, but just in general, like, do you want human hunters? Do you want night elf mages, or should they keep it as vanilla as it can be, right? I'm trying to think of other combos. Yeah, like a gnome priest. It wouldn't be like every class for every combo, or like every combo available. It would be like where it makes sense, kind of like how they did it in like Kata or something like that. Even in retail, you can't do every combo still. All right, so 75% ish want new race class combos. I agree. I want new race class combos. I think I just, once again, I wouldn't go too far with it, right? I wouldn't go too far with it. Yeah, Tauren Rogue, like, I don't know about that. Raid-wide buffs. Okay. So this is, right now they're party-wide buffs for the AoE buffs, changing party-wide buffs. Party-wide would go to raid-wide buffs. So things like Arcane Brilliance, Fortitude, you just do one time for your whole raid. Okay. This seems pretty one-sided here. I agree with you guys. I like raid-wide buffs. I want, like, buffing once, a lot of mana, cost a reagent. All right. Removing racial traits. So presumably someone in the chat wanted me to ask this because they think like certain racials are just too powerful, and instead of trying to balance them, you're like, screw it, just remove them. So remove racial traits. Play whatever race you want. This is a separate question than reworking them, by the way. This is specifically removing them. A separate question could be rebalancing them. Did Xaryu do reacts today? We're doing this instead of reacts today. I mean, that's about what I thought. Like, racials, I think, do add to the feel of the game. I don't think they should be gone. I agree with you guys. Balancing them where it makes sense could make sense, but I'm trying to think, like, which ones are just stupidly overpowered? Human and orc, human sword spec and orc axe spec. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, there's like, yeah, there's like fear word for dwarf priest, I suppose. I don't know. To me, it doesn't. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. This one bothers me the most out of all of them. Orc stun resist bothers me the most. If you guys have ever PvP'd on a rogue and you just go up and what is it? 25% of your stuns just miss, or 20% maybe just miss. It's like, this one bothers me more than any of the other ones, more than Will of Forsaken, more than anything else. That one's like, that one's awful. That would be the one I would be like, get rid of that. Okay, so this is a good question. Modernized diminishing returns. What do I mean by that? Right now in Classic WoW, when you polymorph someone, it lasts 20 seconds. If you poly them again, it lasts 10. If you poly them again, it lasts 5. If you poly them again, it doesn't work. You have to wait 18-ish seconds, then you can poly again for 10, 5, 20, 10, 5. As WoW got more modern in TBC, they made the diminishing returns, I think in TBC it was like 10, 5, 2.5, and then in Wrath it was like 8, 4, and then at some point it went to like 6, 3, 1.5, and it kept getting more and more modern. So people are saying 8.4.2 is TBC. So the question here is modernized diminishing returns. Let's just put it to TBC levels, for the simplicity of the question. What that would mean is 8.4.2 diminishing returns instead of 20, 10, 5. This changes a lot. This changes the dynamic of world PvP a lot. This changes the dynamic, but it's a more modern DR system. Well, TBC is not modern by any means, but yeah, it would be the TBC system. Let's do that. Let's just make it into the TBC system. See what you guys think. This is a tough one. It's a very tough one. Would this be in PvP only? Yes. Guess I should have mentioned that. That's how. Yeah. Yes, this is a PvP. In PvE, so the way it works on TBC is I believe it's still longer in PvE. This is a PvP diminishing return. In PvE, it's different anyway, I think, even in TBC. Pretty sure in TBC it's different still. Everyone's saying redo the poll now. Redo the poll for dummies that voted on PvE. I mean, it's my fault. I can redo it, that's fine. Okay, so modernized diminishing returns. So it'd be 8.4.2 like TBC, and this is PvP only. In PvE, you keep your normal polymorph duration. I believe that's the way it works anyway, but I just wanted to be clear there. So like right now in Classic WoW, if you poly a PvE mob, it's 60 seconds. If you poly a PvP mob, it's 20. So it's already separate. That's why I didn't feel like I needed to mention that. It's already PvP. So 20, 10, 5, the way it is now, is already PvP only. When you use max rank poly on a PvP mob, it's 60. Nothing would change with the PvP only thing. It's already like that. It would just be making it 8.4.2 instead of 20, 10, 5. Add an option, remove heartbeat. That's definitely more of a specific question. I'll add it. A lot of people probably don't even know what heartbeat is. So once we're getting real sweaty and specific, but I will add it. All right, well, this is interesting. 81% of people want DRs modernized. There's some people that would hate this. I'm thinking Perplexity. I'm thinking Peo. I don't know. Do I think modernizing diminishing returns could be good? Yes. I think it would help if you did the 2v2 and 3v3 arenas. It would make arenas way better. Way better. The problem with modernizing DRs is it changes classic duels to a really fundamental degree. Rogues, for example, duel by like blinding, bandaging, re-stealthing, sapping, eating. That's like what rogues do. It would change rogue. Like you wouldn't be able to do that anymore. Warlocks like spam fear. Like it would fundamentally change the whole ecosystem of WoW PvP. It would be a massive deal. Do I think it would be a good thing? Maybe. I'm just saying it's a big deal. It would change priests, warlocks, rogues, mages. I'm surprised so many people voted yes. I think it might be the right thing for the game. It would help arenas and it would probably be more fair, but it would change everything about classic WoW PvP, and a lot of people love it the way it is. So I don't know. I'm surprised I got 81% approval. I will say that. All right, remove weapon skill. Weapon skill being like the blue weapon skill. When you get an axe, your weapon skill is 1. You have to go level up your new axe. Okay, that's the weapon skill we're talking about. Okay, so I agree with you guys. I like it. It makes it feel like an OG MMO. I like weapon skill. It's not like that bad. You can level it up quick. When you get something new, it's like, oh, I gotta level that up. I don't know. I don't find it overly annoying. Makes it feel like a classic MMO. I'd say keep it. You could even rework it if you wanted, but I don't see any. I think it's fine. Okay. Next question, Shaman Tank. This is a drill down on new specs. Actually, have we even asked new specs? I guess we haven't. This is a specific question on new specs. This is a more specific one. Shaman Tank, right? This isn't Like there's some that are like really maybe controversial, like lock tank, rogue tank, whatever. This is shaman tank, right? Shaman tank. It's really hard to be a completely unbiased moderator. I need to like practice this. Like when I display these questions, I need to display them in a way where I'm not biasing people at all, but I'm not doing a very good job at that, I think. So I'll try better. I'll try to do better. I need to not show my biases at all. I need to just keep it as unbiased as possible. I like that one. Shorter mount time. Okay, so 66% of people want shaman tank. Overall, I think I would want a shaman tank. If you're going to add in new specs or new ways to play the game, I think it makes the most sense. I don't like going overboard with this. I don't want like rogue tank, lock tank, mage heal. Like Sod, I think went too far. I was very vocal about that. Shaman tank, I think, is the one that makes sense. It's like, yeah, they have a shield, they have totems, they have Earthshock that generates threat. Like I think the original design was to have them tank. I think like it just makes sense, and adding in another tank spec would probably help queues. I think it just makes sense. I think it would be an overall W for the game. All right, next up, instant mail. So right now in Anniversary, it's instant mail to yourself. I assume the person that asked this question wanted instant mail to other people. Am I understanding that correctly? In Anniversary, it's already instant mail on the same account. So I just instant mail, period. And I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back. Instant mail, 74% one, yes. Okay. Barber. Being able to go into the city and change your haircut. So the retail, let's be more specific here. The retail barber actually, you can change more than your haircut. You can change anything on the login screen. It's like remaking, wait, is that right? Yeah, I think that, okay, so in Kata, it was just like your hair and your earrings, and I think at some point they made it full customization. What are we gonna ask here? Barber, like, I think the old school, so like not full customization, right? So it'd be Kata version, hair plus like earrings. I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Hair, earrings only. Was it just those? I think it might have been just those. Oh, it would be hair color, but that's part of hair. Yeah, so Kata version, guys. Hair, earrings, can't redo your whole character. All right, looks like 81% of people are voting yes. This is maybe the first one I'm gonna push back a bit. I mean, I guess I've disagreed a couple times now, but if they did this, it wouldn't be a game changer for me. It's not something I feel crazy strong about, but I will say this. When you saw the gnome with the green hair running through Ironforge, jumping around, you kind of almost knew who they were before you even saw their name, right? And when you saw the night elf with the pigtails or whatever it was, like people had this identity around like people, and they saw them around. Being able to change that, you know, I don't know. It's almost it's not quite a name change, right? It's not quite everything, but it's kind of cool. I'm surprised so many of you people are agreeing with me. I think ultimately it makes sense, but I just wanted to show the other side. Like it is kind of cool. It is kind of cool. All right, mounts at 20. This could, like, we could do mounts at 30, mounts at 20. I know some private servers have done mounts at 6 or mounts at 10. We'll keep it 20 for now. Currently they're 40, obviously. The real question, regardless of most people want these changes or not, is with all the changes together, does this feel like classic? I agree. When we look at all the things that are green, would the game still feel like classic WoW? Yeah, I think it would. I mean, I think it would. It's not changing anything too fundamental. If you get rid of the yellows and the reds, the biggest one I think is, the biggest crazy one is the modernized DR. That's the biggest change by far that you guys said yes to. Everything else is pretty small. And the arenas. I think arenas and the DR are the ones that I'm surprised you guys said yes to. Everything else is pretty small. So mounts at level 20, no surprise. No one really wants that. I think that's pretty clear. If you're a classic player, mounts at 40 is iconic. Private servers to do it sooner, like I don't know. I don't see the appeal to that. Remove combat add-ons. So people wanted me to ask this. This is very similar to like what they're doing in Midnight. Should that feature come to Classic? What do I mean by that? There would be no more like logging, or not logging. There would be no more damage meter. There would be no more deadly boss mods. There'd be no more bigwigs. There'd be no more. You can't read the part of the code that tells you about combat. I guess all of this stuff would then have to be built in, just like they're doing in Midnight. So basically, should they give Classic WoW the Midnight treatment with removing combat atoms and build in their own alerts and damage meter? Or just keep it as is? Web, thanks for the prime. Someone says, let's see if it works in Midnight, lol. What? Really? Wow. Wow. Okay, this is the first one I've just been like, maybe the second one I've been like, what? Okay. Don't know how to say this. I completely disagree. I understand where they're trying to go with retail to modernize it with Midnight, and I think for retail it makes sense. And I'm not like against it for retail. It's like, all right, yeah. But for Classic, I think just keeping add-ons as they have been, because okay, let me explain. In retail, there has been an issue. In retail, the issue has been there's an arms race between the content developed is so hard that the only way to beat it is with weak auras. So the developers know the players have weak auras. And since they have weak auras, they have to make the content harder. And then the players get better weak auras. And then the developers make it harder for the weak auras. It's an arms race. Boom, 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 boom. What's the problem? If you don't have the weak auras, you can't compete. That's the fundamental underlying issue. That's the reason they're doing it for Midnight. The content is so hard that you can't compete without weak auras. Why do I disagree for Classic? We should never get to that point in Classic. Classic is a casual game. It's specifically supposed to not be so hard. The raids should feel relaxing and enjoyable with a group of friends. It should be like Season of Discovery, BFD, get some boys together and go queue up our dungeon and a raid. It should never be that sweaty. If the raids are that sweaty in Classic WoW, we have a problem. We have a problem. If the raids are that hard in Classic WoW where you need 100 weak auras to compete, fix that problem. So the reason they're doing it in Midnight makes sense, because that problem exists in retail because of the complexity. That problem should not exist in Classic, and if it does exist, don't do the band-aid solution of removing combat add-ons, fix the underlying solution, make the content enjoyable and casual for Classic players. So I completely disagree with you guys. I think you're completely wrong. Yeah, I will say that as the first time I think you guys are completely off. 100%. I wonder if I re-polled it now. Okay, like, okay, you convinced me. W, just your opinion. L, can you re-vote? Yeah, I wonder if I convince enough people now. I don't know. Bring WoW to console? We could ask. Shared tags on mobs? That's a good question. I'm seeing a lot of L's, seeing W's, seeing your take is too idealistic. Oh, I thought you said realistic. Yeah. So much for unbiased. Well, I gave my opinion after the poll. So I said I want to do the polls first and then give my opinion, so I'm not biasing the polls. But I will give my opinions after the polls, right? That's what the people voted. That's true. Remove Warcraft logs. We have that on here. Remove logging. We'll see what people say there. Does a repoll even make sense? The original poll was 71%. I feel like we got to keep the original in there. If I bias people at this point, it doesn't really make sense. We have to keep the OG, I believe. I would change my vote. All right, let's just keep going. All right, new zones. Here we go. New zones. Let's get it rolling. Let's get it rolling. Remove combat add-ons equals content will be easy. Oh, the content's already easy in Classic, right? That's the point. I think people like Classic raiding because it's a fun vibe to get their friends together. It's not like the point of Classic raiding is that it's specifically not retail raiding. It's specifically not too crazy complex and challenging. And once it gets that way, I think you've ruined a great thing, right? Is it too easy though? I don't think so. It's nice. I don't know. I think people like that. Like, right? Like people, that's why people like Season of Discovery BFD. You just get in with some friends and send it. I think Sunken Temple by a lot of people's standards was too hard. Like in SOD, like Sunken Temple was like past the mark. Okay, new zones, of course. People want new zones. I will add to the new zones conversation that things that make sense are awesome. Like Hyjal, Oldham, like an Oldham raid, Mount High, like things that are already there, and you develop the things that are already existing make a lot more sense than just like making random stuff up, which, you know, should be obvious. Flex rating. There's lots of ways to do flex rating. Let's talk about this one in the traditional way of flex rating, of like traditional flex rating, meaning if you go in with 10, it's scaled for 10. If you go in with 20, it's scaled for 20, right? The way SOD did flex rating was different than that, where SOD flex rating was it was scaled for 20, but you could bring more if you wanted it to be an easier time, but you'd have to distribute the loot to more people. But flex rating, like traditional flex, so something like you could bring in anywhere between 10 and, I don't know, where do you cap it? 10 and 40? I don't even, maybe 10 and 25? But you know what I mean, traditional flex. Personal loot, okay, I'll add that. These are such good questions to be just talking about and having conversations about, man. So good. No consumes in BGs. The way I want it to work, and I don't know, this is a bit more specific, but Battlegrounds, I like that you can use consumables in Battlegrounds, but just like in TBC, no consumables in rated Battlegrounds, in arena or in arenas. Like anything that has rating behind it, no consumables, right? That's just how they did it in TBC. Right, normal Battleground, sure, do whatever you want. Rated, no consumes. Flex rating is 50-50. I don't know about flex rating. I like the idea of accessibility. I like the idea of being able to get more, like it's tough getting 40 people together. It maybe begs a bigger question, like how big should the raids be? I like the idea of SOD where you have a 20-man team, but you could go in with up to 40 to make it easier. Like that actually kind of worked. But that is, we'd have to like drill down on that one a bit, right? Do you want flex 10 to 25? Do you want the way SOD did it? Do you want another way to do it? Like there's lots of, all right, next one, heroic dungeons. Yes, no. Heroic dungeons, presumably just a way to get better loot to bridge the gap between raids and normal dungeons. It'd also be a way to challenge yourself a bit more if you only wanted to do 5-man content. Additionally, we have another question, which would be Mythic Plus. I cannot believe 71% of people voted remove combat add-ons. That really has me scratching my head still. I just can't believe it. You know what I think it is? People are optimistic for Midnight, but they haven't seen it yet. But since there's optimism around it in Midnight, people are optimistic that it would work in Classic or something. That is such an interesting one to wrap my head around. Heroic Dungeon, 72% want Heroic. Okay. It's a little surprising, but that's good. Let's do Mythic Plus next. I'm going to skip down. I want to do Mythic Plus next because it kind of goes hand in hand with Heroic. Heroic Dungeons introduced in TBC. Mythic Plus wasn't introduced till Legion. So you have many years in between these things, right? It's like, how far do we want to go? Wow, okay. I respect it. Yeah, the idea behind Mythic Plus is that it gives you an alternative endgame to raiding, and a way to infinitely grind dungeons. The downside is it could get toxic gatekeeping, and it just like creates a culture that maybe people aren't really optimistic for. Okay, there's lots of good questions still on the list. I wish I could do like 30-second polls here. AoE looting. I don't know if I need to explain this one anymore. Right now, single target loot. AoE looting was added to the game in, was it Kata? Was it Wrath? When was it added? Was it Panda? It was Mop. Wow, I thought it was a little sooner. Mop pre-patch. So yeah, AoE looting. Yes, no, maybe so. Vote. Oh my gosh. Who's loading? 69% want AoE looting. 1% under the RuneScape approval rate. This one wouldn't bother me one way or another. I don't mind individual looting. If they added it, I would probably be like, oh, nice. If they didn't add it, I wouldn't be like crying. I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, I just need it. Like there's certain things, it's like, the only ones that I really need are new zones, new raids, dual talents, and minor class changes and balancing. Those are the 4 to me you need to have. If you don't have those, it's like, what are we doing? There's a lot of things past that it's like, you know, we'll see what they do, but you need to do those. All right, remove logging capabilities. So this, I don't even know if this is like technically possible. Probably is, but make it so Warcraft logs can't exist somehow. I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know if it's even possible. Someone wanted me to ask this. Make it so you can't log your damage and post it on to Warcraft logs. This is another one that I think is like a bit diluted. So, I mean, it's 58, right? So it's not, or 57. It's like something like this wouldn't go through anyway, right? If you take RuneScape standards, like you need 70 or more, like it wouldn't go through. But like, I don't even think it should be this close. Like the people that raid every week are, I don't know what percentage. There is a very large percentage of people that raid every week completely motivated by Warcraft logs. Like that is a very high percentage of the people that raid every week. You think 1%? No, it's got to be a very high percent. It's got to be like a strong majority. It's what keeps people going. It's the end game of Classic. Removing the end game of Classic is not something that you should be very okay with. So it's got to be a pretty high percentage. Obviously, like, you know, it's too controversial to go through anyway, but still. Okay, someone wanted Proc's voice chat. Just re-glancing at this list, like I agree with almost all of these. I think there's just a couple that have me scratching my head. I think most of the stuff in the green wouldn't change the game in a fundamental way, besides remove combat add-ons and modernize DRs. I think those are the biggest two. Those would make it maybe not feel like as classic-y, I think. But everything else, I think, wouldn't actually change it so much that it would feel like crazy. It's like not too many like retail things are really getting through, which I think is good. It's like you want changes, but not too many, right? Proc's voice chat. No surprise here. I think people want their game as is, not like people running around saying a bunch of random stuff. Next question. Do you want more spirit healers? The mindset behind this question is when you die, sometimes it's a very long run back. More spirit healers would make it so on certain deaths, you wouldn't have to run back quite as far. Someone asked global trade chat. I don't know if I even want to ask that one. I feel like it's cool that you have to go to cities to trade. More spirit healers. 63% said yes. Heroism and bloodlust. So it would probably be like shamans. Would it be only shamans, or maybe shamans and mages with time warp? In Wrath, it was only shamans. Then in Kata, mages got time warp. And then I think in more modern versions, more people maybe got it. Anyway, should they add it in general? Like, let's just say to shamans, or maybe shamans and mages, but just should they add it in general? Linkable professions. That's a good question. Okay. People don't want this. That's fair. Mount at 30. We already did mount at 20 and no one wanted it. I could maybe do a mount at 30. Remove the 20 quest cap. So increase quest cap to, what is it in Wrath again? 30? Increase quest cap to 30. Yeah. Arenas, we already got it. Okay, next question. Level cap increase. Do you guys want to stay level 60 forever in Classic Plus? Or would you want to eventually go to 65 or 70, 75, 80, whatever? Is 60 forever, or do you want a level cap increase? Ryoka, thanks for the prime. Dom, thanks for the prime. Dr. Goodloving says, what about more punishing deaths? We'd have to have a conversation about that. But what that would look like or mean. Okay, I'm with you guys on this. I like level 60. It's a nice number. It just feels like, wow, I'm level 60. I'm capped. That's classic. Classic Plus should stay 60 forever. I agree. DeJong, thanks for the prime. Okay, additional beachies. So should they add more battlegrounds to the game? I guess I have thoughts on that, but I'll say it after. Extended character panel. Okay, sure. Extended character panel. Kind of like the add-on, so you can actually see your like crit and stuff like that. Sure, we can ask that. Plaxor, thanks for the prime. Reworked graphics, HD. There's lots of ways to ask the HD question. That's why I'm like kind of nervous to type it. Because so classic graphics were classic. Then they got a little better in TBC, a little better in Wrath, a lot better in Kata. They were kind of similar-ish in MoP, and then they completely redid them in WoD, right? So it's like when you say reworked graphics, it's like, what do you mean? Additional PGs, 73% want additional PGs. Okay, I knew you guys would vote yes for this one, and I think that makes sense, because who doesn't want a new BG? It makes sense. There is something to be a little afraid of. If you add a couple new battlegrounds and then the old battlegrounds stop popping, right? I think like if you add a new BG, it should be very far and few between, and they should be very well thought out and good and balanced. And if they suck, then update them and make people want to play them. It's not just like, oh, let's add a new BG every year until there's 14 of them and none of these queues pop. Like that's right. It has to be intelligently done. Which makes sense. It's like no duh, but yeah. So mob and quest scaling, I will let you know what I think after this. The idea here with mob and quest scaling is at any level, you can level in any zone. So if you want to go from Elwyn Forest to Searing Gorge to Loch Modan to Badlands, like everything scales with you. That's how they do it in retail, by the way. I'm trying my best to stay as unbiased as possible. I'm really trying. I'm really trying. This is officially the most one-sided poll out of every poll we've done today. We have not had one at 98%. That is hilarious. I agree. I hate this. They did this in retail. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. One of the best things about any RPG is when you get stronger, you get bigger, gear, armor, swords, weapons, and you go back and you own the thing that just killed you, and it feels good because you are now more powerful than you previously were. When mobs scale with you, it completely undermines the RPG element of the game for a little bit of accessibility. That is not worth the trade-off. Yes, you gain the accessibility. Yes, you can now explore on your own path. Sure, but now you just undercut your whole RPG. With every decision, there's pros and cons. You just have to you have to weigh it. Is the pro better than the con? I think this was one of the worst things they've ever done in retail is mob and quest scaling. I cannot believe it's that way in retail. Never liked it. So remove heartbeat. I'm sure, okay. If you don't know what heartbeat is, the way it works in classic WoW is on the server ticks, there's a chance for CC to break. So if I poly someone for 20 seconds, it can break after a set amount of time. I believe the way it works is the first half of the CC duration can't heartbeat. After the second half, it can. So a 10-second poly is a guaranteed 5. The second 5 can break early, I believe. Anyway, the idea is CC can break early randomly with heartbeat breaks. Do you want that in the game? It is a fundamental part of the game, but you know, there are, I guess I'll stop talking because I don't want to bias anyone. Relexi, thanks for the tier 1. Shared mob tags for questing. Sure. So you wouldn't have to wait in a line for like certain named mobs or whatever. I'm surprised so many people voted no against this. I actually agree with you guys. I think this is like a fundamental, like good thing for the game for PvP. It makes PvP into what it is. It's really annoying because it adds an RNG element, but you can play around it if you understand how it works. And yeah, I'm actually impressed. I'm impressed, guys. There we go. I did not think you guys would, I thought everyone would be like, yeah, get rid of it. All right, shorter mount time. Mount time right now is 3 seconds in classic WoW. At some point in TBC, they made it 1.5, I think. The general question here is, should it be shorter than 3 seconds? Probably down to 1.5 or 1 so that you can mount quicker. It was in Wrath. So in Wrath, they put it to 1.5. Wow. So only 41% of people really want shorter mount time. I like shorter mount time, but I think there's a real reason to vote no. So I think you guys are right in the sense that it hurts world PvP. Right? The reason it hurts world PvP is a 3-second mount up timer makes it so you can't just mount up and run away. Like it's a long time to mount, which means you can stop someone from mounting, which means you can have better world PvP. I think it's an intelligent no vote, I think, but the quality of life is just so nice. I honestly, I probably would have voted yes, but I respect the no voters on this one. I really do. I think no is probably the right choice, but like there's a part of me that's like, I would rather just mount quicker. Did they have quicker mounting in SOD? Does anyone remember? I feel like they did. Samaj, thanks for the prime. I appreciate that. Okay, personal loot. This is a big one. The idea with personal loot is when you kill a boss, you would get a loot bag for you. You'd get maybe your epic, or maybe you wouldn't. This would fix all the loot trauma instantly. But maybe it would reduce some type of excitement about getting the, you know, seeing what dropped for your whole raid and divvying out the loot, right? This is a really big fundamental change, right? Personal loot, toggle on off XP. This is like for twinks, I would assume. Sure, I'll add it. Okay, so people don't want personal loot. I like how as we're getting down the list, like a lot of these were green ideas. Like people are like, yeah. And then as we're getting down, we're like stretching more and more, and everyone's like, no. So we're getting closer and closer to, I think, like a lot of these are really good ideas because more, you know, a lot of people want it, and then it's like, we're stretching, which is a great indication. All right, linkable professions. I think everyone knows what this means, but if you're a enchanter, You could just link your enchanting profession. Someone could click on it and it could show all of the recipes that you have learned. So you can, you know, sell enchants for tips easier. Oh, wow. This is the highest approved out of anything that we've done. Highest approval rate out of anything. Oh my gosh. All right, increase quest cap to level 30. Okay, so increase, right now it's 20. I think in Wrath it went up to 30. You could just hold more quests without having to abandon them. Level 30? No, the quest cap in your quest log. In your quest log, there's a cap on how many quests. Quest log limit. You said level 30? Oh, did I say level 30? Increase quest cap to 30 as the limit instead of 20. If you want no limit, just vote yes. Because we could say 40 or 50 or no limit, whatever. You could just vote yeah. If you want anything more, like, you know, 30 or more, 30 plus, vote yes. Yeah, so people want this, yeah. Extended character panel. So what's the popular add-on? Is it ECS and extended character stats? Is that the add-on? Yeah, so let's just call it that. It would basically be what the add-on does, extended character stats built into the game, so you could see your actual spell power, your actual spell crit without like needing an add-on for that. Those are share quest drops with party, melee leeway, spell batching, jewel crafting. I already have shared mob tags for questing. I guess I could do like, that's like almost part of this, like mob drops, mob tags. The idea would be, okay, I guess that is different. Shared mob drops for questing. So if you're in a party, you need to get like 10 Murloc eyes or whatever, then it would drop for everyone. Extended character stats, 97% want it. I don't know, like, I feel like this graphics question is kind of silly to ask. They already have an HD button in Classic, I think. You could turn it on or off. I think no one wants it like too far to like retail graphics, obviously, and I think we don't want to get rid of the button we already have. Like, I don't know what this one's really asking. Like, Kata, does okay, so like graphic updates, HD, like Kata, like I still don't, I don't know this one. I don't even know if I want to ask this one, because HD is not really a rework. Okay, HD graphic toggle, like Kata. Kata has this toggle, right? It already exists in the game. When you log into Kata, I think you can turn HD graphics on or off. There's a toggle, just like in Kata. Or I guess I should say MOP, because it's MOP now, not Kata anymore. But I think they had it in Kata and in MOP. Anyway, I guess I'll do it. You guys, I think you guys know what I mean by this. It is kind of it's a keyword toggle here. You can turn it on or off. If you want your graphics how they are in Classic, you can. It's just like an HD graphic toggle. You can play with the updated textures or not, but they're still the same cast animations. Stylistically, they're the same. Everything, yeah. It wouldn't look like retail. Focus targeting, that is a good question. AI NPCs, and I'm not even gonna ask that one. New gear, low poly. Like when they add new gear, should it be updated graphics or like OG looking? Okay. Cucumber, tomato, thanks for the prime. Remove 1% mischance when hit capped. That's a great question, I think. Okay, so shared mob tags for questing. So when you're out in the world and you need to kill Morbent Fell or Elisa and you're not in a group, you could just tag the mob, or like I can't remember his name right now. The guy at the start of the Elwyn Forest question, everyone makes a line. What's his name? Gorik's head? You have to get is it Gorik? Goldtooth, Hogger, Garrick. Garrick's his name. Instead of making a line, you just tag him. This doesn't surprise me too much. So right now, the way it works is you can already group up and do the quest. Shared mob tags makes it so like if you want to kill Morladim and Duskwood and someone has it at 10%, you could just run over and tag it and you would get the elite kill credit. I actually agree. It's kind of weird to say, but I actually agree that like you should have to at least find a group and do it. Being able to just run by and hit it at 1% and get the credit is like maybe a bit too modernized. So I agree. Now let's do this one right after. Shared mob drops for questing. This one is a little interesting. This one is like if you need to farm 20 Murloc heads and you're in a group of 5, you wouldn't have to farm 20 for each people. You'd have to farm 20 for the group. it would fundamentally change like the way, like that would mean maybe it's better to always quest in a group kind of a thing, because the shared mob drops would just make it more efficient. Yeah, someone wanted me to ask this one. Let's take a look. Nameplate range 40, not 20. It's a good question. Remove gnomes. Bro, you were the second person to say that. What is this gnome hatred? That is crazy. Okay, so 64% want shared mob drops. I feel like I don't know on that one. The big problem with the shared mob drops might be like if you would almost always feel incentivized to group, because it would just be like literally more efficient to group. Whereas right now it's like I could group because we could kill quicker, but we'd have to kill twice as many, or I could kill it solo, kill slower, but I'd have to kill half as many. So it's like you make a choice. But if it's shared mob drops, it's like you kind of feel like you always need to be in a group. Isn't grouping fun? I generally like to quest solo, so maybe I'm biased on this one. I've never been like a big group quester. I like to quest myself, but maybe, yeah, like I said, maybe I'm biased on that one. Toggle on or off XP. For me, grouping, I like dungeons and raids, but like questing, I've always liked solo. Okay, so toggle on and off XP. This is for like twinks, right? Or if for whatever reason you want to stay at a certain level. Johnny, thanks for the prime. Hunter, thanks for the raid. A lot of people are saying new professions. Let's be a little more specific. A lot of people are saying new professions. Let's be more specific. What profession would you want? Would you want jewel crafting? I think jewel crafting. Okay, so jewel crafting, and then let's be more specific. In Turtle WoW, the way they do it is jewel crafting. You make like not gems, but you're making more like items and enchants. I think based on the trailer we've watched, I haven't actually played. So it'd be like no sockets and gems. That's the way they did it in. It's like rings, necklaces, and stuff like that. Oh crap. Toggle on and off XP was 73% yes. Okay, so people like the idea of being able to twink. Let's keep the pulls running. Focus targeting. This is a big question. So focus targeting really changes what you're able to do in the game, right? Like dungeons become easier, CC becomes easier, PvP becomes fundamentally way different. Focus macros come into play. Mouse over is out, basically. Focus is in, focus kicks, focus blinds. Like it really changes the scope of how well you can play, right? By a very, very high degree. That's a big one, right? What is focus targeting? Can you explain? Oh, okay. I assumed everyone knew. That's my fault. Focus targeting is a way to have a second target, and you can make a macro to cast any spell on your focus target, or if you're a melee, like attack the focus target. So you can have two targets at the same time. You can attack the primary one with your normal spells and attacks and abilities like you normally would, but in a macro you can make it to attack your focus one. So what people do is like set a focus, they're attacking their primary target, and then they want to like sheep their off target, then they can do that without needing to change targets. Okay, I think I agree with you guys on this one. Most people don't want it. Focus targeting is amazing quality of life. I love focus targeting, but does it have a place in Classic? One of the things about Classic that's kind of cool is how much harder the game becomes when you can't focus target. Like if you want a PvP in Classic, you have to use mouse over counterspell, which is just inferior to focus, right? It just sucks, but it's almost like that friction is what makes it kind of beautiful. So I think in general, I would vote no here, despite loving focus targeting. I almost like that it's not there for Classic. Okay, next poll. Remove 1% miss when hit capped. So right now, you can go all the way to hit cap, but you'll always miss 1% of the time, right? You can't bridge that final gap. In PvP and PvE, it's like that adds. Do you want that removed? Yes, no. Remove dungeon boosting. That's like a rule. Like you can't get dungeon boosted. I'll skip that one. Shorter flight durations. We asked that one. Pull. Didn't. Oh, the pull didn't work. Sorry about that. A pull is already active. Must have bugged out. I don't know. It says it's already active. By the way, I'm not ignoring anyone in the chat. I am doing my best to read thousands of messages for hours straight with the chat going up and down. I'm not ignoring anyone. So feel free if I didn't see it, you can post it again. Okay, here we go. Remove 1% hit capped. Czar's ignoring me. Excuse me. I'm being ignored. Xaryu is ignoring me. I need more attention. Okay, sorry. I had to. Oh my gosh. Remove 1% miss when hit capped. Wow, I'm surprised more people didn't vote yes. I think I overall agree. It kind of gives that RNG element of the game. It is really annoying when you get that miss though. It really is, but it's only 1%, but still it's annoying. So someone said remove layers. So removing layers, I hate layers for the record, but like you can't, right now it's like a technical implication. So it's like a two-part thing. If you remove layers, you need a lot more realms, right? I think that's how it would work. Because if you, like we have a certain amount of players, you have two options. You can either have a bunch of realms with a player cap of 10,000 each, or you could have like larger realms with a player cap of like, 100K or whatever, but to support that, you need layers. So you either have less realms or more realms is really the question. Less realms with layers or more realms without. Now, it's a complex one because when you have more realms without layers and then there's a new expansion or a new patch, the realms are full and there's queues. So then you could add more realms, but then in periods of downtime, which are natural, then the realms are all dead. And then if you consolidate, the next time there's a big patch, you'll have the same problem. I hate layers, but it's like, it might be a better option than a bunch of dead realms. So I'm trying to think like the best way to ask this question. Like removing layers isn't like an actual answer, right? It's like a necessary evil, right? The layer swap button, maybe that's a more interesting one. Layer swap button might be better, right? Anyway, let's keep, so nameplate range 40 versus 20. This is kind of a big one. Right now, you can only see 20 yards of mobs. Nameplate range to 40 would change your awareness. It would change PvP. It would change how aware you could be in a dungeon, stuff like that. People in SOD, it stayed 20, but people were trying to get it 40, but then the dev said no. Like this is one that's been back and forth. People want it 40. I mean, I generally enjoy playing with 40 like way more, but I remember that this was a big deal in 2019. Everyone was like, hashtag no changes. We got to keep it 20. That's part of what makes classic. They make games too easy. And they put they had 40 for a while and they put it back to 20. There was a script to make it 40. Then they disabled the use of the script to be more specific. People want that range. Is this going to be a YouTube video? Yes. Jewel crafting. Let's be specific here and say no gem sockets. For this specific question, we can drill down and ask it more specifically, or other professions. But for this one, it would be things like amulets, rings, jewelry, necklaces, stuff like that. So kind of how they do it on Turtle from what I understand. Is that something that interests you guys? Summoning stones at dungeons, we got it. Horizontal gear progression to prevent power creep. And that needs to be like a bit more specific of a question. Horizontal gear progression to prevent power creep. Like, so they did that in SOD to some, it's like, so how do you do it? There's multiple ways to do it, right? There's multiple ways to do horizontal progression. They tried it in SOD. They did it in Molten Core with heat levels. People seem to not like that. They did it in BWL with, I can't remember what it was called, like Nightmare or whatever. They did it in Kara Crypts with Sanctify gear? Sanctify something? Okay, jewel crafting. 84% want jewel crafting. Wow, okay. So people do want that. Okay, so just like in general, horizontal gear progression. Yeah, I don't know. This is like such a vague question. I don't know if I like this question. Explain. Okay, so vertical gear progression is each patch that comes out has better gear. Straight up better gear. Like it has all the, like kind of how retail does it. You want the newest stuff, period, which means you're going to replace all your current gear, which means all the old stuff is antiquated. It means there's not a real reason to do the old content, and you kind of move forward to the new content. And then when new content comes out on top of that, the same thing happens. And then when new content, so basically the way WoW has always done it is vertical, right? The way horizontal works is there's always a reason to go back and get the old stuff, right? Like if you want to do, so SOD did it, right? If you wanted to do Molten Core Heat 3, you'd have to go farm fire resistant gear, which isn't from Nax, even though Nax is the hardest raid, or Scarlet Enclave is the hardest raid. It didn't mean that you wanted all your gear from Scarlet Enclave. There's reasons to go back and get the old stuff. So that's the difference between vertical and horizontal. But you can do it very wrong and you can do it very right. You know what? I guess let's do a very basic poll. Do you want horizontal gear prog? Let's just do a basic poll instead of vertical. If you want vertical, vote no. If you want horizontal, vote yes. I just explained the difference between the two. Vellums. That's a good question. Enchanting vellums. Vertical equals seasons? Kinda, yeah. What is a vellum? What are vellums? What enchanting vellums are? When did they come out? Wrath? Kata? You can buy an enchant and sell an enchant on the auction house. You could put fiery weapon on a vellum and sell it on the auction house. Instead of having to get an enchanter, trade them the mats, and from the mats then get the fiery enchant. An enchanter could enchant the vellum, put it on the auction house. You buy fiery straight from the auction house. So everyone wants horizontal gear prog. That's why I was like, this was a silly question to ask. It's like, the better question to ask is like how they do the horizontal gear prog, but that's very complex. Okay, so enchanting vellums, sure, let's do it. So guys, once again, enchanting vellums, you can buy fiery from the auction house, crusader from the auction house, 100 HP to chest on auction house, movement speed to boots on auction house instead of finding an enchanter. And then the enchanters instead, what they do is they enchant the vellum and put it on the auction house. I'm surprised this is so split, 56%. I'm surprised this is so split here. Okay. I mean, so the downside of vellums is less interaction between players. So if you put out enchanting vellums, players have less of a reason to talk to each other and interact. The upside is it's massive quality of life. Massive quality of life. You want an enchant, you buy it, you're done. But yeah, I agree. Maintaining the social aspect of the game makes a lot of sense. And you already have linkable professions with a 97% approval rate. And with linkable professions, you can get things easier. So yeah. All right, we got to the end of the list. What else? What's going on? More flight paths. We got that one. Let me do a quick run through here, just so you guys can see what we've done already. Arena, we got it. Glyphs. I haven't asked about glyphs. I need to ask about glyphs. Okay. Do you want glyphs added to the game? So ways to further just glyphs how they are in Wrath of Lich King, right? Like glyphs that can further customize your character. Inscription would also probably be added. Do you want the glyph system in to Classic Plus? Keep combo points when swapping targets on a rogue druid. Sure, I'll ask it. Armory. Oh man, do I even need to ask this? Classic Plus armory. I don't need to ask that. Yeah, of course everyone wants an armory. Like the fact that we don't have an official classic armory is still crazy. Yeah, definitely should. There should be a website. Glyphs. Okay, most people don't want glyphs. World PvP zones like Tulbarad, etc. Okay, sure. Like world PvP zone. My favorite ever I'm gonna put is like Timeless Isle, right, from Mist of Pandaria. I mean, so Classic already has these built-in world PvP zones like around Naxxramas, around Scarlet Enclave and Sod. You would have natural locations for players to go. I think what's important if you want a world PvP zone to be successful is not to force people to go there, but it's naturally designed for people that are already there to then have these encounters and engagements. Like in Timeless Isle, it was perfect. Like you already wanted to go there. You were making gold or grinding rep or going for a mount, doing a daily, and then the PvP would happen naturally, right? So that's very different than like, you know, it could be done wrong. Keep combos on target swap for rogues and druids. So right now, if you're a rogue, you have a certain amount of combo points. If you swap targets, you lose them. Even if you don't, if you literally just like click the other target, keeping combos would be like you build combos on one, you could eviscerate the other, build combos on one, kidney the other. That's how it works on a more modern. Barbershop, we asked it. Experience through PvP. I don't know if I'm gonna ask that one. Longer nameplates, we asked it right here. Dungeons and raid maps. Dungeon/raid maps added. So when you open your map, you could see it. Sure, I'll ask it. Keep combos on target swap on rogue druid. Okay, I think I disagree with you guys on this, and one of my favorite classes is a rogue. One of the things that you have to think about on a rogue is where your combo points are, and if you're going to swap targets, you slice your points off to make use of them and then swap, and you're building combos on a target. Now at some point that didn't make sense when WoW got more modern, like with Mythic Plus and stuff. It's like, no, we have like there was redirect for a while. The way redirect worked is you would take your combos and you could redirect them to someone else. Is fine. I think redirect could be a conversation. I think just keeping combos on target swap period is actually bad. I would much rather have redirect. I didn't realize the implication. Maybe I misrepresented this question. The way I said it might have been confusing. I can't imagine 81% of people would want combos. For people that voted yes, do you feel as if I misrepresented the question, or do you know what you were voting for? We knew, no, yes. Redirect's fine, keeping combos. Oh, thanks, Bim. Bye, buddy. I don't know if you guys heard that. He goes, bye, dada. You guys hear that? Oh, it's cute. Oh man, that's tough. That's hard working at home when the little guy comes up. Oh man, just want to play, you know. All right, I lost my train of thought completely. Keep combos on target, swap rogue druid. Okay, whatever. We can move on. I think I might have misrepresented this question a little bit. I personally think a better solution would be redirect. How they did it. When was redirect added? I think Wrath and Kata, and then they changed it this way in Mop, I think, where you had combo points on your character instead of the target, something like that. It was Kata. Anyway, I'll move on. World PvP zone like Timeless Isle. I don't know if I even like this question. Like, it's world PvP in WoW, in classic WoW, needs to be incentivized. It needs to be player driven and player incentivized. So it's like you're running to your raid, you're running to Nax, and there's a battle. You're running to Molten Core, and there's a battle. You're running to Scarlet Enclave, and there's a battle. Like you're running to your raid, you're out in the world, you're doing stuff, and then world PvP breaks out. That's how it should naturally happen. So like, yeah, there should be world PvP areas, but it should be natural. It shouldn't be like a zone forced. Like, I don't know. I might just like get rid of this question. I don't know. Yo, Discar, thanks for the prompt. Dungeon raid maps added. Okay. So just like when you are in a raid right now or in a dungeon right now and you press your map, it will go to the world map. At some point in WoW, they made it so when you're in a dungeon, there's a dungeon map. I don't know when they did that, but it maybe would help you navigate dungeons better or raids. Yeah, most people want this. That makes sense. All right, we've hit the end of the list again. PvP trinket 2 minutes. Right now it's 5 minutes. At some point they made it 2 minutes. I think 2 minute. Actually, I won't tell you what I think. Let's just do the poll. 2 minute PvP trinket instead of the baseline 5. Achievements, we talked about it. Player housing, we don't need to even do that. Remove layers. I want to do a layer question, but removing layers isn't a good enough question because you have to add. If you remove layers, you have to add something from the technical side, like a lot more servers, which makes dead servers. So that's a confusing one. Larger layers, right? That once again, that doesn't really make any sense. I think the layers are as big as they can be. Ahmpy says smaller servers, no layers. Yeah. So Ahmpy, this is what we were talking. Ahmpy, by the way, I would love to, if you're available at some point, to get your opinion on a lot of these things. Since you are like as classic Andy as it gets, it would be cool. Like we've talked about all of these things. I would love to hear your opinions on them. But anyway, we talked about no layers with small servers. The downside is 36% want a 2 minute PvP trinket. Huh. I actually disagree with you guys on this. I think if you're gonna, if you want 2v2 arenas and 3v3 arenas and you want to modernize diminishing returns, if you want all three of those things, trinkets make more sense at 2 minutes than they do at 5. They did it in SOD. I think they did it in SOD. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure in SOD they did 2 minutes. I disagree here. I think PvP trinket should be 2 minutes if you want to do the modernized other systems. What I was saying to Ahmpy though was, if you have no layers and you have a bunch of small realms, it feels good. It's like, nice. Okay, cool. You have these micro communities. They're activated. It's good. But then when a new patch comes out or a new expansion or like a new major moment for Classic Plus, login queues and people can't play. So what Blizzard ends up doing is they spin up new realms and then people play in the new realms and everything's fine. It's like, cool. But then 6 months later, of course, people quit, which is normal, right? It's not a big patch anymore. Now all the servers are dead. So now you have to merge the servers. Or you have a bunch of super dead realms, which sucks. It sucks to play in a dead realm. So then you merge the servers, but then on the next big patch, everyone plays again. So then you have the same problem. What layers do is they make it so that you can spin up new layers and take away new layers. So when there's more people playing, like, I hate layers, but I just don't know of a way around them without a bunch of dead realms. That's what I'm trying to say. I think the best way to do it is this. You keep layers, but you go to one layer as soon as humanly possible. I think reducing the amount of time it takes to get to one layer is better. So what I mean by that is when there's a new patch, spin up new layers, let people play, let people log in. Fine. But right after that new patch, as soon as possible, get back down to one layer. As soon as humanly possible, it should be within a few weeks, back down to one layer. Conditional layering with priority on getting to one layer as soon as possible. I think that would be my take. That would make sense on the technical side of things a bit more. And it wouldn't be a perfect solution, but it would kind of like make more sense. Yeah. Offhand, hit chance rework, pre 60 dual wield viability, offhand hit chance. Oh yeah. Okay. So Sure. I'm sure most people won't even know what this means. Right now, you can do spell queuing for offhand hit chance. If you have a spell queued up, the offhand can't miss, besides the 1% miss chance. So you have a much... Oh, you know, you might not even be talking about that. You might be talking about in general, offhands have a much higher chance of just missing. That's probably what you mean. It probably just means offhand. I don't know what you mean by that. It could be either one. I'm just gonna put offhand hit chance rework. Right now, it's pretty janky. Right now, the way it works on offhands is they just have a much higher chance to miss. So you need like talents, and then you can do spell queuing to make them never miss besides the 1%. So like right now, offhands are just really janky. You could rework it to just make more sense. So players could level with dual wield, like warriors, I guess, would level with dual wield more often. Maybe shamans would soon. I don't know. I think that's a fair question to ask. I'll ask it. Cross faction grouping. There's no way anyone would want that, right? Are there any novel questions? We have done 72 questions here. This is great. Collectible tab, not account wide. Collectible tab. Like you mean like pets and mounts and stuff? You guys want a collection tabs for pets and mounts and toys. Drop gold on death. I'm not gonna ask that one. It just sounds like a different game. Reskins and themes for existing BGs with shared queues, like seasonal themes. Maybe I'll skip that one. New specs and roles or rework some specs. We've talked about that one. Most people wanted it. Transmog, we talked about it. Achievements, talked about it. Barbershop, talked about it. Remove add-ons, talked about it. I think we're getting mainly repeats at this point, which is good. Like that means we're getting closer here. Resilience as a new stat. Resilience gear in PvP. So right now the way it works in PvP gear, it just has more stamina. That's how classic PvP gear works. It's like, get this gear because you'll have more HP. And if you have more HP, you're tankier. And you won't get one shot. And if you have PvE gear, it has less stamina. So you will get one shot. I'm not gonna ask the resilience question. I think it's just like, it's not necessary. It's fine. The stamina system works in classic, fine. XP gain turnoff, we asked it. Add dynamic respawning mobs and resources in the world instead of layering. Layering is Ahmpy. Layering is in the game because there's too many people trying to log in. So instead of having a bunch of realms that are dead, they want to be able to control how many people can actually play by adding new layers and removing them. It's in the game for that technical reason that it can be dynamic. I don't know if adding a dynamic respawn mobs and resources in the world is part of the layering discussion. Maybe I don't understand what you're trying to say. I must be confused. Repair bots, sure, that's a fine question. We didn't ask that. Repair bots. Hearthstone cooldown under an hour. I don't know. We could do like what would you want Hearthstone cooldown to be if it wasn't an hour? I guess 30 minutes. There's repair bots already in the game. Wait, am I? Okay, I'll ask 30 minutes. Wait, am I an idiot? Repair bots are... Okay, I'm an idiot. People are saying no. Can you link the sheet with viewer access? That would be very smart. Let me see if I can do that. Share with others. Allow others access. Allow editors to change. People who can download, copy, and print. Editors, commenters, and viewers. I think I did this right. Oh, you know what? Let me at least finish. I will link it after I'm done. I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to. I need to figure out a way to make it view only. Yeah. View only or else it's just GG'd. Repair bots. Okay, we'll delete that one. Hearthstone cooldown 30 minutes. Let's do that. Someone has slower leveling. I really have to go to the restroom. Graphic updates. We asked it. 10 to 25 player raids. We kind of asked that one already. War mode. So war mode would be instead of PvP servers. I don't know. I could ask it. 55% like this. We could ask war mode instead of PvP servers. So basically there would just be normal realms. If you wanted the PvP, you turn war mode on. You could go out and PvP. If you don't want a PvP, you turn it off. I'll ask it, sure. I'm gonna let this one roll for a few minutes while I go to the restroom. I'm gonna do a 3-minute duration on it. I will be right back, guys. I'm gonna go to the restroom. All right, guys, we're back. War mode instead of PvP servers. Yes, no. I think I agree with you guys here. War mode is great quality of life, but the problem is there's something about PvP when you can't opt out of it and you're trying to get to a raid and someone else is trying to PvP, and like that's kind of what makes the game operate to some degree. Legendaries for all classes. I'm gonna skip that one just because I don't think anyone would vote yes. Hardcore modes. You know what I'll put in is leveling challenges. Things like I'm going to try to level to 60 without dying. I'm going to try to level to 60 without going in water. I'm going to try to level to 60. Like, just like, I think, what was it, Turtle Wow or Ascension or one of them did this, and you get little buffs. Yeah. So I think hardcore could be one of those options, right? Try to level to 60 without dying. Boom, boom. Did I do a 3-minute pull on accident? No, I didn't. Leveling challenges, yeah. So I think like hardcore could be one of these, right? Aren't those just achievements? It's a little different. You'd get a buff so other players could like see that buff, and it would incentivize players to level more than one character and keep the world alive at low level, which I think would be really cool. Someone had a good comment earlier, which was built-in questy. The idea behind built-in questy is, at some point they did this, right? I think it was like Cataclysm, where you'd get a quest, you'd press your map, and it would show you where to go. Was it Kata? I think it was. Maybe Wrath, Kata. Like, it would show you on your map. It wouldn't have an arrow. It wouldn't tell you which quest to pick up next. It wasn't rested XP by any means, but it was built-in questy. Would you guys want that? Endgame content loop must get an update. More cosmetics, fun trinkets, horizontal weapon prog, more ways to prog your character. Raid logging sucks. Right, okay, yeah. Just more stuff to do at endgame, yeah. Wait, I'm not banned. Nice, what up, Stun God? Built-in Atlas loot, more world buffs. More world buffs you want, okay. Achievements, we got it. Remove PvP gear from being BIS and PvE. Hold on, am I out of the loop here? Is PvP gear best in slot for PvE? Or maybe it is right when rank 14 gear comes out before Nax and AQ40. So there's like a moment in time where it is. It's like a moment in time, right? But it's not forever, is it? It's for phase 3. So for, yeah, that's okay. It's longer than a moment. It's like a whole phase. It's for 3 phases. Okay, that's like a fair question then. Built-in questy, 84% of people want this. I actually kind of agree. If you don't add it, it's fine, because questy works great. Remove rank 14 gear being BIS 3 phases, or just, I should just say being BIS in PvE. Trying to think how to say this. Like, yeah, I guess that kind of, because it is for a limited amount of time, but like, you guys are right. Like, maybe that stretches on too long. So you can vote on that. Remove rank 14 gear being BIS in PvP. So like, a lot of people do, not everyone, but yeah. The way I see it is this. It is kind of cool to give people extra excitement around sweating and putting in time. That's what the basics of MMOs are. If you sweat and you play more, you're gonna have an advantage on other people who don't. You like it or not, that's the genre. And as soon as you try to equalize everything to where everyone gets everything, because, you know, we don't all have the same amount of time to put in, so everyone gets everything. I know it sounds like good, but it ruins the game, right? It ruins the game. So I don't know. This one's, having said that, it's a lot of time investment for rank 14 gear, and then if you do sweat it out, you only get the benefit for a few phases. Like, I don't know. I'm not the best one to ask on this one. I think like Peo or Ahmpy or Joker or like someone like that would have more knowledge on this one. For me, it almost kind of feels classic, like you sweat and put in the grind and you get some better gear for a few months, and then it's outdated again. I don't know. More quests. Yeah, so I mean, I could ask this, like, quests in existing zones. So like that's adding just more things to do in existing zones while leveling, you know, more quests to maybe ease the leveling process, or just do new interesting quests that you've never done before, stuff like that. Rage normalization. I actually don't know what you mean by rage normalization. I played a warrior and I don't know what that means, so I'm clearly out of the loop here. Yeah, so clearly people want more quests. No surprise there. Rework threat system to make other tanks more viable. I think the idea is if a tank isn't viable, like Paladin, you would add like Taunt to make them viable. Rework tiers and raid gear, bad itemization in general, like Vendor Strike. Okay, sure. So like, do you want reworked itemization for existing items? Doesn't mean to make everything amazing, but it means in places where it makes sense to rework. I think a lot of these things you can go too far or not far enough, and that's where it gets very specific, right? But just in general, like, should they at least attempt, let's say on the low end, should they even attempt to rework itemization, assuming they underdo it, right? because I think we can all agree if they overdo it, it's terrible. You want an expertise stat to reduce parry and dodge chance. No arrows or quivers. I mean, yeah, no one. I don't think that's gonna pass. Remove weapon skill extreme troll. I already asked it. People wanted it. New spec for each class. Do you guys want entire new specializations? Sure, that's a fair question. Not an update to an existing spec, but an entire new spec. Mages would get like shadow mage, or there's already a shadow priest. I'll start the poll. You guys know what I mean. Should Blizzard come up with entire new specs, presumably for maybe, you can't just do it for one, you'd have to do it for like most of them. I agree here. Maybe far down the line. The way I see Classic Plus is this: you want to release it with like as little features as possible that like that are clear improvements. All the stuff that's like 90+% approval rate, like you do right away. You know, like new specs could be something 5 years or 8 years down the line after Classic Plus launches. We've done a lot, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna add in this or this. But I don't think, at the very least, I would say no new specs on Classic Plus launch. That would be way down the road. That's what I would think about that. Faster flight pass, got it. TBC stats instead of percent-based stats. I don't know what you mean by that. Faster response of mining nodes and herbs. Able to see guild members on map. Or class-specific quests. Excuse me. So more like paladin quest lines, like more class-specific stuff. Sure, yeah, I can ask that one. That's fair. More legendaries. I'm not even gonna pull that one. New zones, we got it. A giant crab to raise your weapon skill on. Lol. Remove gnome. Guys, what does this gnome hate? Maradon win? I don't even know, man. I did not think we'd be brainstorming for this long, but I'm glad we are. These are really, 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 really good questions to be asking and thinking about and talking about. Obvious Mikey, thanks for the tier 1. I'm gonna click share on this. Hopefully I didn't just grief myself. I'm gonna link this to Ahmpy. If you click on this, can you edit it? I wanna make sure that I want to share it, but view only. Okay, he says you have to request to edit it. Can I turn off requests? People are gonna spam me with requests. I'm trying to think the best way to share this. I should almost like just turn it into a PDF or like something, because I'm not trying to get spammed with requests. 94% of people want more class, yeah. Convert to PDF. Then I'd have to upload the PDF. Maybe I'll upload the PDF to like Twitter and put it in my Discord. Click share view only. Top right. I just see, yeah, I think it is currently view only. I just don't want to get spammed. You know what? Yeah, I'll take screenshots of it and upload it when I'm done. And we'll also make a YouTube video about it. And the VOD will be here too. Lots of ways to look. You can't, you'll get spammed with requests. Yeah, okay. Okay. I think we're getting close. Like we have 82 questions in, or 81 questions in. I'm seeing mainly repeats. Mount price lowered. I don't even know if I'm gonna ask that one. Hi Czar, hello. Channels instead of layers. So basically you could swap on demand. I could ask that. I think removing layers altogether doesn't, like, as much as I would like it, I don't think that's gonna actually happen, but swappable. No, layer swapping on demand would like ruin mining nodes. Like all the bots would just like go 1, 2, 3, like hit all the layers, get all the yeah, I don't know if that would really work either. Yeah, maybe I won't ask it. Auction house interface update. Sure. Auction house, how it is. I would just say like modern auction house. The way it works with modern is you open the auction house, you type what you want, it'll give you the lowest one, and then you select how many you want to buy, and it'll buy all of them at that price. It's like a modern auction house, so you don't need to use an add-on, basically. Like it's kind of like Auctionator, I guess. Ahmpy statue and by the Stormwind Fountain. I like that idea. Is there news for Classic Plus? It's kind of confirmed. Is mine a repeat more special items like enchant CG, but make it necessary to bring one max level enchanter like BRD for horde players, or special zones for professions like Scala and leveling raids? Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to ask that, but yeah, I see what you're trying to say. Just make things more like special, single time things, yeah. Modern auction house. Yeah, I agree with this. I like the modern auction house. I agree with you guys. It's just better. Just you don't have to download Auctionator. Guild bank, we got it. Remove racials, we talked about it. Solo challenges like the Mage Tower. Sure. Solo challenges like Mage Tower. Heirlooms. Do I even need to ask about heirlooms? I mean, I could. No. Yeah, I feel like that's not it might be a waste of time to ask. I don't think people want heirlooms in Classic WoW. The whole idea is like leveling, right? Solo challenges like Mage Tower. Oh, account-wide attunements. Do you guys want to attune to Molten Core once per account or once per character? No one asked this. I actually thought of this one myself. New classes, we talked about it. No one wanted it. Time-gated leveling, I'm not even going to ask it. Account-wide reputations. I don't even know if I want to ask that one. Account-wide reputations. New races, we asked. New mounts. Yeah, of course. Definitely new mounts. I don't think we need to ask that one. I feel like we're getting to the point, guys, where we've either covered everything or the questions are like obvious yes or no's. I don't know if that... Yeah, I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. Every single... Get to 100. I can't even find any vendor for enchanting runs for SSF. That's more of a hardcore question. Weekly vault. I'm not gonna ask that. People don't want that. No weak auras. We talked about no add-ons already. We got it. Daily cap of dungeons. Does that exist still, or is it still 5 an hour? Higher drop rates for quest items. I'm not gonna ask it. You've covered nothing novel. In 85 questions from the chat, we've covered nothing novel. Let's see. More account-wide. Oh, crap. What was that? Oh, it was 65. You already got that one. Respec price reduced. I don't know if I'm going to ask that. Lootable banks. Account-wide attunements for raids. Yeah, we just asked that one. Account-wide attunes. All right. Guys, I can't see any new questions here. It's either questions that like are kind of troll questions or we've kind of covered them. More boat and Zeppelin connections. Could maybe. Bop enchanting vellums. I think we've talked about that a little bit. More challenge hard modes like old like a hard mode in upcoming raid. Maybe. Had community polls. We talked about it. Gear equalized in PvP. I don't think we'd ask it. Built-in baginator. Like a setting. Okay. Avenger shields like new spells. Like we generally talked about it. Yeah. Is this a repeat? More kind of challenges events like the fishing contest and STV, Gurubashi arena chest, world beside dungeons and raids. Okay, so we could do that. Like, do you guys want like challenges and events around the world? It's kind of a vague question. Is that something that you want Blizzard to focus on, put their attention in? Is challenges and events around the world? Now add-ons, we asked it. Player housing, I'm gonna skip it. Naj, hey, how's it going, Naj? Private server dual area. That's a good one, Naj. I can't believe you're the first person to say that. Like a dual area with a cooldown or reset, and you somehow have to make it not abusable, right? It's not like you're gonna have your whole raid, leave the raid, click the cooldown reset, go back into the raid. Like it would basically be so you could spam duels. I don't know how they would make it so you can't like abuse that outside of that, but yeah. Challenges, events around the world. Yeah, so clearly people want that. 1v1 arenas, we talked about it. I feel like I'm really getting to the point where we're just kind of stretching, reaching here. Okay, yeah, slow mode chat. That might be good. Slow. Limit how frequently users can spam messages. I'm going to do slow 60. Oh, okay. This is much easier. You can type a question once a minute. Gosh, it's still too fast. Guys, goodness gracious. Lurkers rush up. I think this might be a good time to call Ahmpy. We could maybe even add like Peo or add like Joker, like people that like are like true classic Andes. I don't think it gets any more classic Andy than Ahmpy. And get some input, because I feel like this is kind of I feel like we're kind of we've gotten a lot of the big questions out of the way, right? All right, so I'll give Ahmpy a call. We got 87 questions in. We did this way longer than I thought. That was like 3 hours. I thought we were gonna do this for about 1 hour. Oh my gosh, that was sick. I'm gonna finish off with what we started with. By no means do I expect my community to be representative of the classic community at large, but I still thought this would be worth doing for 2 reasons. The first is I wanted to be able to flesh out our ideas, because talking about things and thinking about things is a good way to figure out what we actually want. And the second is to potentially give Blizzard a resource to use when they're developing Classic Plus. Like, hey, this is something like maybe they were thinking about mounts at an earlier level. Like, okay, like this one is like 15% approval. Like, no way, right? Maybe it could be helpful to Blizzard as well. So cool. Guys, thank you for being a part of that. That was really cool. I will upload screenshots to the Google Sheet so you guys can take a look at this whenever you want. I will not link the actual link because I don't want to get spammed. I think it's a good time to call Ahmpy and just have a little convo to cap it off. Hey, Ahmpy, how's it going?
Yo, good morning.
Good morning, dude. Yo, I wanted to have you on because you are the classic guy. You have played so much classic WoW. I think it would be really good to have your perspectives on some of these things, or if there was something that we just completely missed. My chat's flaming you for saying morning.
I'm on DGen schedule, okay? Come on, guys.
I didn't call you out on it. I was thinking the same thing. All right, but yeah, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at all of these, but we basically just like did quick polls for the chat, 1 minute polls to see like how people were feeling about a bunch of different concepts for Classic Plus. I don't know if you had any like if you saw one you're like they're completely wrong here, or if there was like another one that you're like no one talked about this and this is probably pretty good.
Well, I think I missed a lot of this early on, so I don't know exactly what you guys talked about. I have some ideas. I'm not sure what you guys covered. Most of my perspective, I feel like I like keeping things in something that maybe the 2004 developers would be like, that's pretty cool, just to keep that feeling of classic WoW. So something like homogenized classes would be against that. Like they very clearly made, they very clearly made classes with the intent of them being very different.
I think everyone like has felt pretty strongly about that point, definitely.
Yeah. So, and I'm very conservative with changes. I feel like I would definitely want to start with small things before big things. One thing on my list, I don't know if you guys talked about this, expanding endgame professions. Really, like they stop, like they, maybe alchemy and like, but blacksmithing outside of fire resist gear and like maybe frost resist gear at the very end is like not really used. Like think like TBC, like Storm Herald, and you've got these recipes dropping all the time, and you've got like materials dropping from the raid. I think that is like a low hanging fruit for me, where like you integrate professions a little more with endgame rating. Okay,
let's actually, before you go too much further, I don't want you, I guess you've kind of already biased the chat, but we didn't do that one, and I kind of want to hear what chat has to say. Integrate professions further into rating, right? So like professions mattering longer. I think it's a great question. We actually didn't pull that.
Like leatherworking. Nobody does leatherworking, man.
Right.
It's Devil's Tour.
I'll put the poll up. I mean, we've both probably already like influenced chat on this one.
Yeah, that's I forgot we were polling.
Yeah, but I think even without the influence, like I think that's like fair to say that like a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah, I mean it's 95% approval, but that's like definitely, they did this in Season of Discovery to some degree. Yeah. Is there anything? I don't know if you had any other like concepts similar to this one.
How did you guys do rank 14? I think it should be reworked again. I think it's too strong. It's too easy to get rank 14, and the gear is too good. So either it has to be worse gear or harder to get. One of the two.
Sure. So what we did is just a poll on removing rank 14 gear being the best in PvE. So the problem is, right, like you get rank 14, it's the best for a few phases. It's like, that's a long time. 65% of people agreed that should not be the case. We didn't get into the specifics on how that should not be the case, which sounds like what you're talking about. Should they make it so the gear isn't as good, or should they make it so it's a different phase, or should they make it so that like the stats aren't as good in PvE? Like there's lots of ways you could solve it, but we did touch on that, because that seems to be an issue.
That's good. Yeah, dude, it's bad right now. Like Night Slayer, like I swear it's like pre-raid Abyss is getting ranked.
Cool.
Like,
I'm glad to hear your perspective because I was playing devil's advocate, saying one of the things that makes classic MMOs great is the idea that if you sweat and if you play more than others, you have an advantage because you put more time in. And the idea that everyone should be on an equal playing field can make MMOs feel terrible, because it's like, well, that kind of just ruins the whole point of the game mode, right? So I'm glad to hear your perspective on this, because I would consider you a sweat, and if you still don't like it as the sweat, then it's like really bad, probably, right? Yeah, like you're the guy that would probably like this, if anything.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think that was kind of my big two. Okay. I thought about this. I was walking the dog this morning. What do you think about more profession slots? Did you guys do that?
We did, yeah.
What was the consensus?
19% approval, which is very low.
Oh, I'm surprised. Okay. I mean, I respect that though. That's what happens when you have two professions, right? Is like you're forced to interact with other people.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So like you're the blacksmith miner. You need to find an enchanter to help you get situated. So I think that's cool. I was I was thinking about like an unlockable profession slot. I mean, if they already said no to more than 2, it's definitely not. I definitely think like, I don't know, dude. I hate leveling an alt to get another profession. I don't know. I feel like I wish I could progress my main character more. I think that's RuneScape talking, because you can do everything in RuneScape.
Right.
And it's so nice, man.
Right. You could max every profession and then just do it all yourself. I think it, from a self-found RuneScape. Okay, so one of the conversations I've had on stream before is if your character is self-found, being able to get more than 2 professions, or like potentially all of them, or being able to buy necessary items to level professions like blacksmithing rods from a self-found specific vendor. So you can only access the vendor self-found, and it would cost a certain amount of gold that would actually be somewhat significant. One of those 2 options for self-found only. But I think in terms of non-self-found, yeah, I, like you said, it would hinder like that social experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was talking to Jimmy about RuneScape, and he brought up the point like, what do you wish was in WoW? And I thought about it more. I wish there was a solo, like, I don't know, dude. I wish there was more of a solo like server like RuneScape. RuneScape has tainted me, man.
So
anyways,
this
where you
is
have
one of
like
the questions,
all professions, bro.
One of the questions we did talk about also was solo challenges like the Mage Tower. Like, because I agree, RuneScape having solo playability, being able to log in and just do any content you want, spam it solo is pretty cool. I think players that haven't played RuneScape will probably push back and say something along the lines of like, well, that hinders the social experience to some degree. And I think to some degree they're right. But I think solo challenges like Mage Tower and WoW have historically been really successful, right? Like being able to actually just queue up something if you can't find a group for anything else is pretty cool. So, I mean, I agree.
That's just a random thought, like experiment for that one. But I also think layering needs to be addressed in some way. I don't know. In the current iteration, and like Night Slayer, it's bad. I don't think that there should be 5 different Kazakh timer where a world boss is spawning like on, you have this world boss and then it spawns in like sub world 1. You got layer 1 Kazakh. I feel like it splits the world into these like little mini. I don't like it. I feel like it completely ruins my immersion when I'm on a world that has Kazakh up and then I can layer and then the boss has just disappeared. It's completely different.
I agree. I've always hated layering. The question for me is more, what's the alternative? Because I mean that's really the conversation, right? Because I think you heard me when I was in the stream, but I'll just repeat it in case anyone just tuned in. If you have no layers, then you need more realms, right? Because you have so many players, like the realm would just fill up, so you would need more realms.
I don't know. I feel like that was true in like maybe 2019, but the SOD layers and the layers they have now are much more robust. Like you can see Night Slayer had like 3 layers and it had like 3 times the pop as my server that has.
Well,
like they're much more.
What I mean by that is when you go to Ironforge Pro and you just look at the data of like Anniversary or like SOD or like Classic Plus will probably look like this. In terms of player counts, it'll probably look something like, it'll release, there's going to be 10x the amount of players on release than 6 months later. Not because it was better on release or bad, but because that's just the way video games work. You can have a really hype release, and people have to quit and get back to their jobs in real life. Like you can only take a week off of work or whatever. So like the problem I think Blizzard's having is they need to capitalize on being able to let players play that first week when everyone's taking their week off work, but they also need 6 months down the road to have servers that aren't completely dead. And I think that's the problem layers have solved. But they suck as a player, right? They suck. Like, you don't want to get layered. So I think I disagree that it is an issue and layers are a solution, but it's a crappy solution. So
I think that layers do have to exist in some respect, but I think that there should be places that are exempt from layers. Like, I don't think there should be 5 Blackrock Mountains. I think there should be 1 Blackrock Mountain layer.
So what you're talking about,
even if there's like 5, right? Like
what you're talking about is retail sharding.
Yes. I think that makes the most sense, because if there's 10,000 people in Elwyn Forest and 500 people in Blackrock Mountain, there shouldn't be 5 layers for those people. I don't know.
Yeah. So for people listening, what retail sharding is a variation of layers. It's a little more technically advanced, where instead of an entire layer for the whole world, you have zone-based layering. So there would be, if there's tons of people in Elwyn, you could have like 50 Elwyn layers or shards. And then in Blackrock Mountain, you would have maybe just one if there's not many people there. It's just another level up from layering, which like could work. I mean, I think it's probably a better solution. What my point's always been is this. Week 1, when there's a ton of people, you spin up your 10, 15 layers because it's kind of necessary.
You need it.
But you go back to one layer as soon as humanly possible. By like 6 months in, you should always be on one layer, even if that means a small queue time, personally. Like you should...
I don't think it's possible with the server size they have. Like Night Slayer has like 10k people on it. A Classic Plus server, whatever, it's gonna have more. Like I don't think you can have one layer. This is kind of what I was talking about, where like I think you can do something like that if you make the world more plentiful. Like if you do force a one layer on a 10k pop, you need to have faster Lotus spawns, or it's gonna go to 7,000 gold. You need to have more Plague Bloom like spawns, because there's huge blocks on people that like these major resources that people need, or really they want, they don't need it. I think that's kind of what I was talking about. Like I agree there should be layers if it's like super hype. If there's 25,000 people on one server, yeah, you need it for the technical standpoint. As soon as it can handle one layer, I agree. I like that take. I think it should go to one layer as soon as possible.
I think as long as they do that, like it would at least be like middle of the road, right? Like when you need it, sure, but shrink to as little layers as soon as possible, because the game doesn't feel good with layers. I think every player agrees, like layers don't feel good, right? You run across, you're like meeting your friend in Westfall and you just don't see him unless you invite him to a group. It just feels
that
bad.
Sucks.
It just sucks.
Or you're stuck on like layer CD, and then you're trying to like trade somebody and they're on layer CD, and it's just like, bro, what is going on?
They feel terrible. So using them very rarely when you need to, I think should be like the goal. Right? Like only on massive releases, use them sparingly. And besides that, you get to amount of realms that make sense so everyone can play, even if that means like a small queue time. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Was there anything else?
I think there's a problem with layers fundamentally as well. If we are going to get layers, if that's the necessary, I think you shouldn't be able to abuse layer swapping, which means I think there maybe should be some limitations on layers. Maybe not being able to swap unless you're in a like main city or something. I don't know. It's almost like you're swapping servers to like a less populated server, because I don't know. I don't like the idea of like walking up to a farm in Westfall, somebody killed your mobs, and then you click your weak aura and you go to layer 3.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, they're up again.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Dude, I've been so anti-layering the whole time from like the player perspective. From the player perspective, layering is awful. From day one, I'm like, this sucks. It ruins your immersion completely. But from the technical side of things, I understand it. And it's like, once again, it's more about finding the solution that works on the technical side. The city example is like an interesting one. I think in a perfect world for me, they don't exist besides weeks 1 through 3 of a brand new patch or a brand new release. And besides that, they just don't exist at all. But yeah, was there any like features that maybe you haven't seen on this list that you're like, this would be like massive for the game? Was there anything like that?
I mean, you guys covered a lot of things. New raids, I think there should be some form of arena in the game, even if it's not balanced. I like that idea. I think that there should be some form of like PvP skill-based content, because there really isn't any in Classic. And I also think in looking at like Classic Plus, my brain immediately goes TBC, because the initial developers of WoW made TBC right after. They knew what pain points they had. They knew maybe they didn't know the repercussions, but now we know them. So we can see something where like they made TBC, they made flying, and then it deleted, it created a ton of like, less interaction across
That's a great
the world.
point.
So maybe that's like not something we should put in. But arenas were continuously like coveted for a long time, right? Like people loved arenas all the way through. So I think like there are things like
we can learn from TBC,
where you can learn from it, right?
Yeah.
Even extending to like class changes, like maybe you could still have the idea of hybrids with like hybrids are very useful in TBC, right? But it's because they fill a role of like that niche that like they were kind of enabled to be in the raid by like some sort of buff or group, whatever, right? Stuff like that. I think that's like. I'm glad to see a lot of stuff like that on the list. Like
cool.
One
of the ones I wanted to ask you about, because I like this list. I think there's a lot that didn't make it. You know, there's a lot that's like so, but like I agree with pretty much everything in the green, besides I think like one or two. And I wanted to get your take on some that I disagreed with. The first one that I disagreed with was remove combat add-ons. It's not that everyone wanted it. Was 71%. So
what is that, like details?
No more big wigs, little wigs, deadly boss mods, damage meter, but Blizzard would then build it themselves. So the midnight treatment for classic WoW combat add-ons.
I think the repercussions of that would go a lot farther than people realize. That would mean probably no weak auras either.
Right. Yeah. No weak auras. Yeah.
So like,
it's the same as midnight. The same thing happening in midnight.
Right. So I think that in theory it would work, but I think you would get to that point and be like, I'm excited to do this, and then you're playing your character and you're like, man, I wish I had a buff track. Man, I wish I had this. I wish I had.
In
I don't
theory,
know. I
it
feel
would
like
be replaced by like in-game stuff, kind of how Blizzard's doing in midnight. Maybe it's just a bad question because I don't think they would ever do it.
I'm not sure.
So my take was like the reason they're doing it in retail is because there's been an arms race in retail. The bosses are a certain level of difficulties. People make the weak auras to beat the bosses. So Blizzard makes the bosses harder. So people make better weak auras. So Blizzard makes better bosses knowing that the weak auras are coming, right? So this arms race is why they're removing it. My point was for Classic WoW, that arms race doesn't exist. The content in Classic WoW is fundamentally like it's not so complex. You need a billion weak auras, right? And if the combat gets that complex, that's a problem already.
I mean, that is fair. Like, what is add-on telling you? Your breath is coming in 10 seconds. It's not like it's solving the game for you. Right.
In retail, they've gotten to this degree where you can't clear the content without the add-on. So like, I think they're removing combat add-ons in retail for a reason, and I think it makes sense for retail. But for Classic, the whole appeal of Classic is that you can get friends together and play. And if you want to do Classic, if you want to make Classic hard, you do what you did by clearing hardcore knacks and the world buffs. You make a challenge. If you want to make Classic hard, you speed run Molten Core and try to clear it in under 20 minutes, right? Like there's ways to make Classic hard. It's self-imposed, but the content in itself isn't crazy hard, and that's what's appealing to people because everyone can play. So I don't know. I this was like the one I like disagreed with. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think.
I'm kind of neutral on it. I'm not really. I think I just wouldn't have voted on this one.
Maybe it's a bad question. Maybe I shouldn't have asked it. I'm trying to think. There was something else that I thought I didn't really like. So raid-wide buffs, new race class combos, pull-based system to vote. Minor class changes, quest rewards, raids, longer buffs. I think there was wasn't there something else that I didn't like that you guys approved? I mean, I like all of this. 2-minute PvP trinket, people didn't vote that through. I thought that should be through.
5 minutes is way too long though.
Right.
When you're PvP in the open world, you like fight somebody and you PvP trinket and then you fight somebody 3 minutes later, it feels bad to have like a disadvantage.
Well, I meant if you're gonna add in arenas won't make sense with a 5-minute trinket at all. So if you add in 2v2 and 3v3 arenas, you kind of need the 2-minute trinket. So I disagreed on chat on that one. I think if you're going to add arenas, PvP trinket needs to be 2 minutes to make any sense at all. I think, the other one was rogue combo points. I pulled if rogue combo points should be modernized. And
bro,
yeah,
I hate rogue because of combo points. So
okay.
I mean, I would be pro on that only because I don't like how it plays in Classic. It feels super clunky.
Okay.
But I also think that it's got some form of like that clunky Classic charm to it.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know if that's something I would want to change. I feel like that's fundamentally changing the class where like all of a sudden a rogue can get 5 combo points before they open on you in PvP. And then they like, you like get eviscerated. He just walks up to you and eviscerates you for 3K.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there could be some like pretty big repercussions to this that maybe.
So yeah, I agree. Like, so there's 2 different conversations, and Tactics knows what I'm about to say. You can either have it so combo points build on the rogue instead of the target, and that's what you're talking about, Ahmpy, right? So that's how it is in retail, right? So you build combo points on yourself, and you can use it on anyone. The other one is you keep combos on a target swap. So the way it works right now is you could have 5.
Oh, I see. So like if you,
well, I'll just explain it because for people in the chat, I know you know what I'm talking about. But the way it works right now is if you have 5 combo points and you don't use them on someone else, you just click on someone else, you lose them.
To like kick or something.
To kick, if you kick an off target, you lose all the combo points. I believe even if you target someone else and then get your original target and you don't even kick or don't even do anything, you'll lose it. If you drop target, you lose it. I'm pretty sure. So those are two different questions. I think for sure fix the combo points dropping. For sure. I like that then. But the second question is then should they build on yourself? And the build on yourself one, I think I would say no to, but the first one I think I would say yes to. So that's pretty nuanced.
I agree. I think removing like, you know, if you press escape and you untarget and you lose your combo points, I feel like that kind of sucks. But I feel like at the same time, you shouldn't be able to like go auto attack somebody else for a couple of seconds and then come back and have 5 combo points again.
The way it worked in
I think
Wrath
there needs
and
to be
Kata,
some sort of middle ground.
The middle ground in Wrath and Kata or whatever was redirect. You can use a spell called redirect every 45 to move the combo points to a new target. So you could do it every now and then. Then that's another question. Anyway, we're getting pretty deep on that one.
Yeah, that's nuanced.
That's a tricky one. But yeah, I think that was I'm trying to think. I think I agreed with pretty much everything that the chat was saying, like on the ones that were super positive, besides the remove add-on question.
What is extended character stats? I missed that one.
Yeah, here, let me actually sort by approval rating. Linkable professions.
Trying to see if I disagree with chat.
Yeah. So linkable professions, everyone wants. Extended character stats is so you can see like spell power and crit without the add-on.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. Minor class changes, people want. New raids, people want. Integrate professions into raiding, people want. Dual talent, people want. World buff changes, everyone wants. Like, and it was a vague one with. It could either mean world buffs don't work in raids, or it could mean you acquire them through cloth turn-ins like Season of Discovery, or it could be something else. But some idea of make it either so they're not necessary, or they don't work in raids, or they're gone completely, or you can get them from some type of turn-in or quest or something, but not just make it so it's not like AFKing in a city for hours. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of like a bad quality of life. Yeah, I hate AFKing for like...
New zones, obviously, class-specific quests, more quests, longer buffs. So like Valley Blessings, dungeon raid maps added, just like you can open the map. Quest cap to 30, more leveling challenges. So you could do like a hardcore leveling challenge, like a no swimming leveling challenge, like a RP walk, like you could just create a character and toggle a challenge.
That would be kind of cool if there were like some sanctioned challenges outside of hardcore, like or solo self-found.
Right. Yeah.
That could be interesting.
Yeah. Guild bank, everyone wants. Quest rewards, everyone wants. Optimized flight paths, a lot of people want. Raid wide buffs, so you don't have party buffs anymore. Challenges and events around the world. Ooh. Modern auction house, so you don't need like auctionator. Itemization, so there's certain items like vendor strike and stuff that could probably be reworked like a little bit. Jewel crafting, so it like a new profession for rings and amulets.
That's huge.
Building and questy, pull based system, modernized diminishing returns, so this is kind of a big one, like polymorph.
Oh, so you're not polymorph for 45 seconds.
Right. Adding in a barber just for hair and earrings.
Bro, I disagree with barber.
I know what you're gonna say, because I said the same thing. Yeah, go for it.
I mean, I think that you should make a character and commit to that character on the character screen.
Yeah,
I do.
That's kind of what I said too. Yeah, it's like when you see them,
disagree. That's a hard no for me. I'm quitting with the barber. Straight up.
What I said is like, bro, when you see that gnome with the green hair jumping around Ironforge, it's like that's the gnome with the green hair, and he's on your server, and like you know him because he has the green hair, and he's like the night elf with the pigtails. It's like, yeah, you've seen that guy a million times running around, like, you know. And it's like once you add the barber, it's I kind of agree, but it wouldn't make me quit. It wouldn't make me quit.
I'm memeing, but
I know. Horizontal gear progression, more like RuneScape. Keep combo points on target.
What does that?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So we talked about multiple ways horizontal gear progression could work. They tried it in Season of Discovery with like Molten Core having heat levels, BWL having like certain tier of gear that was best in BWL, and then like when Naxxramas and Scarlet Enclave came out, there was like new gear that was like sanctified, so like different power up stats. It's hard to explain if you didn't play SOD, but the goal of it was each tier had the best gear for that for specific tiers, but it wouldn't just be like when Nax came out, it would be the best for Molten Core, because to do Molten Core Heat 3, you would still want fire resist gear. So it would give you essentially kind of like RuneScape, reasons to go back and do all the content always, not just new patch has all the best new gear, we're never going back ever again.
WoW Classic has really good in the sense that like you can get really top tier items in like an Onslaught Girdle, like a Band of Fury, Thunder Fury.
Yeah.
I feel like this is already in.
Yeah.
Where like your guilds are running everything.
Exactly. To some degree, it's already in. Like you have Mind Quickening Gem from Mages from BWL. Like there's certain items that I think the idea would be to keep this to some degree to where you don't just have
like new things, right?
You don't want a new raid that completely makes all the old gear just completely irrelevant. That's the concept here, right? You don't want a new raid that's like, okay, now we don't need to go to Nax anymore. You know, like that would be the worst. So a dual area, lower mana buff cost, 2v2 arenas, raid of battlegrounds, warlock summoning closets, 3v3 arena. New
why is 3v3 lower than 2v2?
I mean, more people.
You guys don't like 3v3?
I mean, it's pretty close. 75 to 70. More people have always played twos.
I love twos, man.
I'm surprised 1v1s were lower because I actually think 1v1s in Classic.
I feel like 1v1s in Classic goes crazy.
1v1s in Classic, I think, would be way better than 3s and 2s. For sure. So I'm surprised 1v1s was 69%.
Wait, I want 1v1s.
Yeah.
I think that's insane.
I've even made the claim that if you could only have, I've made the claim that if you could only have one bracket, like if you're just gonna add one, I think it should be 1v1 arenas. More than 2s and 3s, 1v1 arenas in Classic to me makes way more sense. And I've even made the claim that it shouldn't be instanced. You should queue up for it outside of like an arena, a physical location. You get ported in the middle, 2 people duke it out to the death, and you could even put a wager on it. To me, that feels like Classic. Now it's like, it's duels, which is Classic. It's in the world, so it's not instant, so it's Classic. You can bet on it, so it's like, kind of just makes it exciting and entertaining. And then it's a physical location, so like people are excited about it. I think that would be just way better than arenas in every way. But
I think that would be really cool. I mean, there's spots in like, you know, there's like that arena in Orgrimmar.
Yeah,
there literally is.
Yeah,
just.
So we'll see what they do there. But if they just added 2v2 arenas, I mean, yeah, I would be happy. But to me, I think I would rather do what I just said. Like by far, like I would much rather have something that feels more like Classic, than just let's do arenas because people like them in general. I don't know.
I have a big take here.
Sure.
I see one. AoE looting. I'm hard against AoE looting.
Okay. Why?
I think that AoE looting diminishes the fact, diminishes the, I guess like RPG element of like, let's say you AoE down 50 mobs. Should you be able to right click once and walk away? I think you should have to sit down and loot all of your scraps off of every single mob. I think that's like immersive.
Brother,
I think without that,
seen you AoE loot. You bind it to...
I don't AoE loot. I
have seen you on stream. The way you loot mobs, you have it bound to your scroll wheel and you spam your mouse over all of them.
Yeah, but I think it's important.
With Leatrix Plus, there's like a setting that's like loot quicker option. You have that enabled and you just like...
That's just being efficient. I'm not AoE looting. Dude, I bring out the vacuum, but okay. Look. But actually though, because I think that
I agree
no way,
you.
man.
I agree with you. I just think it's really funny, bro. But I actually agree with your take. I made that same argument when the chat came up. I was like, well, you know, it is what it is. But that is funny because I watched your stream with quest turn-ins and AoE looting. I'm like, bro, Ahmpy has this dialed, bro. Like I have never seen anyone loot so fast as you have.
No, I do think though that like AoE looting does break the link of you playing a game, killing a mob, and then looting it. You have this like magical loot appears in your bag, and then it's one step closer or one step away from like that classic MMO. I do think that's very real. Yeah, I think you can see it with like I've done AoE farming in retail. You pull 80 mobs, you right click once, and you just see a loot window, and you got everything. You walk away, and it's like it is kind of like. You know, it's a waste of your time, but guys, come on. This whole game is a waste of your time. It really is. You're not using your time for anything productive when you're playing this game, no matter what. Okay?
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. All right. Let's see. So there was a bunch of people that had like, you know, that 40 to 60% range. Like shorter Hearthstone cooldown vellums, like enchanting vellums, HD graphics, extra flight paths, offhand hit chance, new races, summoning stones, like achievement or account-wide attunements, achievements.
I don't think, you know what I think is the worst thing about Nightslay right now is summoning bots all over the place. And I feel like summoning stones would be similar to that. I guess it's only for dungeon groups though, right? So maybe it's not as bad. But isn't it like part of the classic experience? You fly to like Light's Hope Chapel, and then Jimmy the Hunter is still in Stormwind, and you're supposed to be in Strat Undead. Dude, isn't that part of the experience?
I'm pretty sure I was in one of your raids. Yeah, I was. I was at a Molten Core raid, and I was late to one of your raids, and you blasted me, bro.
Oh, dude, you were griefing.
I was getting my food buff, man. I had to get one more. Oh no, you know what I was doing? I was getting my my Badlands turn-ins, dude. My Blasted Lands buffs, rather. Yeah. I forgot about. Sorry about that, Ahmpy. I didn't mean to.
No, it's all good, bro. I'm not upset about that at all. But I think that there is actually, somebody said in the chat, it diminishes warlocks, and I think that's 100% true, because when you do invite a warlock, you're like, finally, I got somebody who will carry these guys from not.
Sorry to interrupt, but higher on the list, when more people liked Warlock summon closets. So more people like the summoning closet from a Warlock. It values Warlocks, but I think
that's good too.
Yeah, I agree with chat. I like summon Warlock closets, but not summoning stones. I think that's fine.
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. To be honest. And yeah, the stuff that chat really didn't like was mob quest scaling, flying mounts, removing racials, mounts at 20, personal loot and raids, Mythic Plus, level cap, more than 2 profs, like glyphs, all this. This is like a lot of retail stuff. So chat.
These are like systems, and I see PvP 2-minute being 36%. I feel like you guys are just voting for no reason.
Yeah, this one I think is the one I already mentioned, that PvP trinket. I think if you do want PvP to actually work well and be fluid, like even in Season of Discovery, Blizzard did this. I think I disagree here. PvP trinket I think should be 2 minutes if you're going to add in a 1v1 dueling mode, a 2v2 dueling arena mode, like rated battlegrounds. It just makes more sense for PvP, I think. So that's the one I disagreed with.
How do you do additional content without level capping? Would you squish Nax stats to add a raid after Nax, or would you go further?
So what Blizzard did with Scarlet Enclave needed sanctified gear. So you basically, to do Scarlet Enclave, you needed to clear Nax. To get enough gear to get into Scarlet Enclave, you needed Nax gear. And then from there, you would have better gear in Scarlet Enclave, but there were still Nax pieces that were best in slot. Like you still needed to go to Nax.
Right.
Not only to prepare for Scarlet Enclave, but then there was still trinkets. There was still enchants from Nax. Like the shoulder enchant was still best in slot from Nax.
Yeah.
Obviously... like there's certain trinkets. Yeah,
I agree with that 100%, but I'm talking like what happens when your rogues have 100% dodge, because agility scaling is so high, and you need the agility to make the gear better.
I see what you're saying.
That's kind of what I'm saying, because Nax gear is so insane. You have like this Nax, if you're full tier 3 and you have like 50% crit chance, or like you have,
the game will break at a certain numbers. Yeah, that's a fair thing to be aware of. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that itemization has to be touched a little bit to add anything above Nax. Now there could be stuff below Nax. Maybe that's the tech. New raid before Nax. I mean, that's an option. It doesn't have to be after.
What's the Warlock Hellstone table thing? I was gonna add in a new poll that we didn't talk about. Was mage tables and Warlock. What's it called? Warlock. Soulwell. Yeah. I mean, I think I already know how this poll is gonna go, but we should at least put it on the list. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we went through like pretty much all of them. I mean, like, so what I wanted to do was just kind of build a list for Blizzard to just have access to and look at, and then for us to be able to have a community conversation to just start talking about these things. Because if we're gonna talk about Classic Plus, we should have an idea about what that actually means. And I haven't really seen anyone do this, so I was like, let's just talk about all these things and vote about them. And I think like the reality is, the way, like you said, Ahmpy, things should really only go into the start of Classic Plus if they have like a 90% approval rate or 80%, like stuff that like almost everyone wants. And then from there, you kind of pull the community and see what that next thing should be. Like on launch, it doesn't need to have everything, but years down the road, it could be like, okay, maybe it is time for a new spec. you know, like 5 years down the road, it's like, okay, maybe let's look at adding like a brand new spec. I don't think it needs to have that on launch, but like the stuff on launch that is like that 90% approval rating stuff. It's like, okay, cool. Well, might call cheat sheets there unless there's anything you wanted to add, Amp.
I just wanted to say I voted no on that.
No way.
Yeah, I mean, it's their job, man. You're just taking away the mage job. If a mage can make the mage table and then you don't need to invite the mage anymore.
Get this guy out of here. Are you
don't need to invite
me?
the mage anymore. Anyways, it was good talking to you guys.
That's hilarious, bro. Oh my gosh. Bro, you know what I hate as a mage? I will literally be out in the world just questing, doing my thing. Someone will come up to me in open trade. No words, no message, no, hey, can you make me? Just open trade and
just trade?
Just trade and stare at me in the eyes. What do you think I am? What do you think I am? You think I'm a vending machine? It looks at me and it's like, bro, get out of here, man.
And it's a warlock.
He probably is a warlock, yeah. Warlock players, man. You kidding me? Anyway, yeah. Yo, thanks for hopping on, Ahmpy. This is cool to chat and kind of get some ideas down. If there's anything else that comes to mind, definitely hit me up. But it's good to chat about it.
It's always fun to think about like the hypothetical changes. There's so many things. I will say my closing thought, I think that Blizzard does have to take some risk. Otherwise, it's going to be boring. Right. I will say, I think that they can't just stay with a super conservative, only, 99% of people want. I think they do have to take some level of measured risk and put something in that's fun. And if we don't like it, the community doesn't like it, I think they should have the right to remove it or change it. I think that people do need to be flexible.
As long as Blizzard stays true to, this is a game that's not going away. And we're going to community curate this thing, and we're going to try stuff. And if it fails, we will take it out and we will try new stuff. Like, as long as it's like a constant work in progress, I think it'll be a success. Yeah. I think it's going to be great as long as it's just constant work in progress. Like, that'll be fine. I'm okay with them releasing something. It sucks, and then later you fix it. Sure, that happens, right? I don't want this whole like, well, this is just how it is then kind of a thing.
Yeah. 07 boys. Have a good stream, Xaryu.
All right, peace out, Ahmpy. Have a good one. Peace. Guys, that was a 4-hour conversation. Goodness, I did not think that was gonna take so long. I don't even what is going on? That was cool though, man. I'm happy we did that. I'm really happy we did that. Like I said, I will screenshot this and put it in my Discord. I'll put it on Twitter, and link it around so that you guys have this. I don't want to share the Excel spreadsheet link because people are going to request access for months to come, and that's going to be annoying.